हेलो गाइस, अगर चैनल पे नए हो तो सब्सक्राइब कर देना, और अगर मेरा रिकॉर्डेड सेशन देख रहे हो तो चैनल पे जाके न्यू लाइव स्ट्रीम ज्वाइन कर सकते हो। वीडियो को लाइक कर देना। चलो अभी स्टार्ट करते हैं।
Incubation time, the time which is elapsed before beginning of formation of new base. So 700 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड में इंक्यूबेशन टाइम 0 to B1 है, 600 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड में 0 to B2 है, 550 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड में 0 to B3 है. What is your observation? As the temperature is decreased from 700 to 600, 600 to 550, बोलो बेटा, what happened to incubation time? Incubation time is decreased with the decrease in temperature. So in interviews people will ask you, why the incubation time is decreasing? Why the incubation time is decreasing with the decrease in temperature? वो इंटरव्यूज में पूछता है बेटा, इसका समाधान तुम्हारे कहाँ मिलता है? ये वाला डायग्राम देखो, with the decrease in temperature, with the decrease in temperature, nucleation rate is increasing. That means per unit time, more and more number of nucleation, more and more number of locations में paralytic formation शुरू होता है. That is nucleation rate. At low temperature, since nucleation rate is more, तुम्हारे को नया phase formation के लिए इंतजार करने का समय कम होता है. At low temperature, since nucleation rate is more, your waiting time for formation of new phase will decrease. That is why, with the decrease in temperature, incubation time will decrease. That is how this diagram helps us to answer the questions which come in the next diagrams. So here, as the temperature decreased from 700 to 600, 600 to 550, come on, what happened? Incubation time decreased from 0B1 to 0B2, and then from 0B2 to 0B3. Why incubation time decreased? Waiting time क्यों decrease हो गया? Because at low temperatures, nucleation rate increases. That is why waiting time will decrease. Hence incubation time will decrease. That is why incubation time decreases. All right, sir. अब आइए. At 500 degrees centigrade, decreasing of temperatures. At 500 degrees centigrade, B4, E4 are the data points. So let me try to show you that. Before I show those data points, let me try to take a little higher, and then इस डायग्राम का exactly नीचे मैं second TTT diagram का drawing exactly below this, उतना ही exactly below this, and in the same width. मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ बेटा? I am trying to show you another diagram. This final diagram is called as TTT diagram. So on y-axis there is temperature, on y-axis there is temperature, and on x-axis there is time. On TTT diagram, on x-axis there will be time. So let me try to show you here. On x-axis there is time. It is this diagram that is going to be called as TTT diagram. अब कैसा शुरू करें इसको? एक दो फंडामेंटल्स हैं. First, draw a line that is called as A1 line at 727 degrees centigrade. At 727 degrees centigrade, draw a horizontal line. And you know, friends, above A1 line, austenite is stable. Therefore, A1 line, A1 is constant temperature line, 727 degrees centigrade line. इसके ऊपर लिख दीजिए, austenite is stable. नीचे, A1 के नीचे, according to Itattard reaction, austenite becomes unstable and hence it transforms into perlite. Therefore, below A1 कौन रहता है? Unstable austenite रहता है. Below A1, unstable austenite रहता है. Right. अब क्या करें? See what are the temperatures taken here? 700, 600, 550. So identify them here. Let us say this is 700, this is 600, this is 550 degrees centigrade. Draw constant temperature lines. This is the constant temperature line is 700, this is at 600, this is at 550. Okay. So now your next immediate job is to transfer the B points and E points by projection onto corresponding temperatures. देखिए बेटा, let me try to show you. By projection लेना है. Yes. Sir, B1, E1 belong to 700 degrees centigrade. Therefore, project B1 and E1 to 700 line. Project B1 to 700 line. This is B1. Project E1 to 700 line. This is E1. Similarly, project B2, E2 to 600 line. Project B2, E2. This is B2. This is E2 here. It will come here. This is E2 to 600 line. Project B3, E3 to 550 line. Take B3 to 550 line. And project E3 to 550 line. This is E3. Sir, अब क्या करूँ मैं? Friends, all B points indicate beginning time of transformation. Since all B points are indicating same logic, beginning time को indicate कर रहा है. Join all B points by a common locus. Therefore, let me try to draw that. Join all B points by a common locus. Join B1 to B2, B2 to B3, B1 to B2, B2 to B3. Similarly, all E points indicate ending of transformation time. Therefore, join all E points by a common locus. Join E1 to E2, E2 to E3. Done. Upwards. Now, एक बार काम करने के बाद next task that is to be done by you is, sir, you have represented from all the way up to 550 degree centigrade. All the data points are transferred by projection. अब बाकी डाटा है हमारे पास बाइनरी रीजन में, मार्केट रीजन में। आइडेंटिफाई देम B4 E4 रिप्रेजेंटेशन करने से B4 will come here and E4 will come here. On the right side आएगा B4 E4. This is the transformation curve at 500 degree centigrade. Similarly B5 E5 will come here. B5 E5 will come on the right side of B2 and E2. So if you join B5 E5, if you join B5 E5, that line is going to be the transformation curve at 400 degree centigrade. If you now draw B6 E6, this will be B6 and here will be E6. B6 E6. Now join E6 and B6. This is the transformation curve at 300 degrees centigrade. This is the transformation curve at 300 degrees centigrade. Now did you notice what has happened? These green color lines are indicating binetic region. So binetic region में क्या हो रहा है? In the binetic region, as you went from 500 to 400, 400 to 300 degrees centigrade, come on, incubation time has increased. Sir, incubation time increase हो गया. 0 to B4 is incubation time at 500. 0 to B5 is incubation time at 400 degrees centigrade. 0 to B6 is incubation time at 300 degrees centigrade. Right? अब क्या हो गया देखो, as the temperature is decreased from 500 to 400, 400 to 300, incubation time, which was originally 0 to B4, it is changed to 0 to B5. Then it has changed to 0 to B6. बोले तो with the decrease in temperature, incubation time is increasing in binetic region. बेटा लोग पूछते हैं, why is incubation time increasing in binetic region? आंसर क्या देना? Sir, binetic transformation is by diffusion. Binetic transformation takes place by diffusion. Binetic transformation takes place by diffusion. एक याद में रखो बेटा. Diffusion is, मैं क्या बोल रहा था? Time dependent and temperature dependent phenomenon. Diffusion is the temperature. एक याद में रखो बेटा. Diffusion is, मैं क्या बोल रहा था? Time dependent and temperature dependent phenomenon. Diffusion. टेम्परेचर डिपेंडेंट फिनोमेनन बोलो तो हाई टेम्परेचर में कम टाइम लेता है, लो टेम्परेचर में ज्यादा टाइम लेता है. दैट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ टेम्परेचर डिपेंडेंट. डिफ्यूजन इज टेम्परेचर डिपेंडेंट फिनोमेनन. बोले तो हाई टेम्परेचर में कम टाइम लेने वाला और लो टेम्परेचर में ज्यादा समय लेने वाला है. डिफ्यूजन बेस्ड बाइनेटिक ट्रांसमिशन. अब देखिए हाई टेम्परेचर में 500 में 0 टू B4 हाई इंक्यूबेशन टाइम. एज द टेम्परेचर इज डिक्रीज टू 300, 0 टू B6 इज इंक्यूबेशन टाइम. क्या हो गया? इंतजार करने का समय, बाइनेट फेज फॉर्मेशन होने का, फॉर्मेशन बिगिन होने का समय increase हो गया. Why? With decrease in temperature, diffusion processes become ineffective. With decrease in temperature, diffusion processes will become ineffective. Because they become ineffective, come on beta. Because they become ineffective, they take more time for formation of the new phase. That is the reason why incubation time will be more. Got the point? अब क्या करना है? Whatever temperatures you have taken here, show them here and project the data again. So let me show you all that again. Yes, 500, 400, 300 are the temperatures, right? So let me say this is 500 degrees centigrade. This is 400 degrees centigrade. This is 300 degrees centigrade temperature. Draw the constant temperature lines. Draw constant temperature lines. Or what next is to be done? Project the points on B4, E4 should go to 500. So project B4. सीधा यहाँ तक आना है. This is B4. E4 यहाँ तक आना है. This is E4. Project B5, E5 to 400 degrees centigrade. So B5, E5. This is B5. Here is E5. E5 will come here. B6, B6 must go to 300. So B6, E6. This is B6. And this particular point E6 is shifted to here, projected to here, 300 degrees centigrade. Now join all B points. B3 to B4, B3 to B4, B4 to B5, B5 to B6. E3 to E4, E4 to E5, or E5 to E6. Join correct. Or you see. Right. Now what exactly you have done is you have transmitted the class. Are you? White color curves here, B1, B2, B3. कौन सा फेज बन गया बेटा? टर्न लाइन B1 B2 B3, B1 E1 B2 E2 B2 B3 E3. यहां तक बेटा ये वाला beginning curve है, this is beginning curve. On the beginning curve, there will be unstable austenite, and this is called ending curve. On the ending curve, and on its right side, your phase रहता है बेटा, that is paralyte. Up to this temperature, 550 degree centigrade, that ending of transformation gives rise to paralyte formation, that is paralyte zone. Below 550 degree centigrade, transformation will be into binary बोल दिया. Therefore, on B4, B5, B6 beginning curve, there will be unstable austenite. E4, E5, E6 is ending curve. So in this temperature range, 500 to 210, यहाँ पर जो मिलने वाला phase है, on this E4, E5, E6 and on its right side, you are going to have binite, right? Next, let us develop the graph once again. Sir, there is B7, E7 also. At 210 degrees centigrade, there is B7, E7. Where will be B7 and E7? Sir, B7 will come here. B1 and B6 के बीच में. और E7 इधर आएगा. E7 will be between E1 and E6. Now if you join these points, E7 and B7, ये दोनों points को join करें, that is going to be the transformation curve at 210 degrees centigrade. At 210 degrees centigrade. Now what is your observation? Sir, as temperature is decreased from 300 to 210 degrees centigrade, 300 to 210 degrees centigrade, जाने में क्या हो गया? Incubation time has decreased in the Martensite region. Incubation time has decreased in Martensite region. 0 to B7. 0 to B7 is incubation time in the Martensite region. So 300 degrees centigrade at 0 to B6. When you decrease the temperature from 300 to 210, come on beta. Incubation time for Martensite formation is 0 to B7 only. That means Martensite formation has taken place quickly. Incubation time is reduced. Now people will ask you here, अरे Martensite formation range में incubation time क्यों कम हो रहा है with the decrease in temperature? बेटा आप बोलना पड़ेगा. Martensite formation is not by diffusion. Yesterday we have studied Martensite formation characteristics. Austenite to Martensite transformation characteristics बोल के पढ़ लिया था. क्या लिखा बेटा वहाँ पर? Martensite formation is by a diffusionless process. करेक्ट है? By a diffusionless process बोल के बोल दिया था. So diffusion से नहीं होता. तो फिर कैसा होता? It does not depend upon time. It is by a diffusionless process. बोल के बोल दिया था. Then who is going to facilitate Martensite formation? Martensite formation is facilitated by changes in the free energy of the alloy system. Thermodynamic subject. Martensite formation is facilitated by changes in the free energy of the alloy system. Sir, thermodynamic subject में आप पढ़िए बेटा. Free energy of the alloy system is given by U minus Ts. This comes from thermodynamics. Internal energy minus temperature into entropy. U minus Ts, internal energy minus temperature into entropy. This gives you what's called the free energy, gives free energy, again what's free energy function. देखिए बेटा, as temperature is decreased from 300 to 210, यहाँ देखो, when temperature is decreased, बोलो, when temperature is decreased, ये negative quantity कम होती है, right? Therefore, free energy of the alloy system will increase. Free energy of the alloy system will increase. When temperature is decreased, T into S will become smaller. Therefore, when T into S becomes smaller, for a given value of internal energy, the free energy of the alloy system E will increase. So when temperature is decreased, free energy of the alloy system will increase. When the alloy is already having higher level of free energy, transformation तुरंत बनेगा या देरी से बनेगा? तुरंत बनता है. Because higher energy system is more readily available for transformation. That is the reason why Martensite transformation takes place quickly. Incubation time decreases. So 0 to B7 incubation time क्यों decrease हो रहा है? Incubation time is decreasing because free energy of the alloy system is increasing. And Martensite transformation is due to increase in the free energy of the alloy system. That is the reason why incubation time will decrease. Right. अब ये वाला 210 ले लो बेटा. यहाँ पर here you try to show where is the 210 degree centigrade. Suppose this is 210. What is the importance of 210 degree centigrade? 210 degree centigrade is called as MS, mass constant formation. Starting temperature है ना, मैं बोल रहा था. MS temperature is 210. That is mass constant formation starting temperature. So try to draw this constant temperature. Yes, this is 210 degree centigrade MS temperature line. Then what is to be done? Project B7 and E7 to 210 degree centigrade. चलो, project करेंगे. Ready? Project B7. B7 इधर आएगा. Right? This is B7. Project E7. E7 इधर आएगा. This is E7. Right? Now join B6 and B7. This is beginning line on which unstable austenite will be present. Join E6 and E7 on this line. Martensite will be present on this line and on its right side. Whatever you are going to have is martensite. Right? Now 210 degree centigrade का क्या significance है बेटा? Sir, the temperature is called as martensite formation. Beginning temperature. बोले तो इस temperature line के नीचे already martensite formation शुरू हो गया होगा. इसी के वास्ते लोग क्या करते हैं बेटा? ये वाला लाइन को ऐसा सीधा ले जाके y axis से मीटिंग करा देते हैं. When you make this particular line to meet the y-axis, it means that at any temperature on this line and below this line, you are going to have martensite structure. Right. Similarly, from E7, this line will be extended to right side y-axis. क्यों ऐसा एक्सटेंड करते हैं? एक्सटेंड करने से ये पता मिल रहा है on this line and below this line, you are going to have martensite structure. Got it one? Now friends, तुम्हारे पास एक डाउट है, sir, will there be any retained austenite or not? Right. बोलो, retained austenite कब बनते हैं? If martensite formation finish temperature is below room temperature, you are cooling up to room temperature only, but martensite formation finish temperature is below room temperature. Then what happens? Retained austenite will be formed. If martensite formation finish temperature is above room temperature, लेकिन तो room temperature cooling कर रहा है, तब क्या होता? Retained austenite will not be formed, it will be transformed into martensite. चलो बेटा, so यहाँ पर कोई ना कोई क्या करता है? Suppose ये एक author क्या किया? They try to show this particular temperature line. Suppose this blue color line, they indicate as MF temperature. The bottommost line is room temperature. इसके ऊपर है MF martensite formation finish temperature. अब ये वाला येलो लाइन और ब्लू कलर लाइन बीच में दोनों के बीच में कौन रहेगा? Martensite प्लस retained austenite रहेगा. और MF टेम्परेचर के नीचे कौन रहेगा? No retained austenite. Even retained austenite will get converted to martensite. So इसके नीचे रहेगा martensite. Right? Martensite formation begins here. And if MF temperature is here, above MF temperature, you are always going to have retained austenite along with the martensite. Below MF temperature, you will have only martensite. Point is clearly defined. Now, this diagram is what is called TTT diagram. Come on, इसका बहुत सारा नाम है यार. This diagram is called C curve. So C curves बोलते हैं. क्यों बोलते हो? You have freedom. You can develop it only up to binary region. B6, C6 तक ही development कर सकते हैं. Then it will be of C form. Hence it is called as C curves. Suppose you develop it up to martensitic range. Its shape is like S. Hence it is called as S curves. It's called as B curves, C curves. It's called as S curves. This TTT diagram is developed by a scientist called Dr. Bain. Hence, it is also called as Bain's curves. It's called as Bain's curves. Right? Next. What is the usefulness of this diagram, sir? Let us try to think about it first. Usefulness of this diagram is, tell me, at 700 degrees centigrade, what is B1? Beginning time of austenite transformation into perlite. What is B1? Ending time of austenite transformation into perlite. बोलो बेटा, at 700 degree centigrade तुम्हारे पास beginning time है, ending time of transformation है. So beginning time and ending time ये दोनों times के बीच में जो time रहा, if you project this B1 E1 distance onto x-axis, ending time minus beginning time of transformation. बोलो बेटा क्या समय क्या देता है वो? Ending time of transformation minus beginning time of transformation gives you time taken for austenite to transform into perlite at a constant temperature of 700 degree centigrade. So what does B1 E1 give you? B1 E1 gives you the total time taken for 100% transformation of austenite into perlite at a constant temperature of 700 degrees centigrade. Right? What does B2 E2 give you? B2 is beginning time of transformation. E2 is ending time of transformation at a constant temperature of 600 degrees centigrade. Therefore, if you take the projection of B2 E2 onto x-axis, तुम्हारे को मिलता है time taken for transformation of 100% of austenite into perlite at a constant temperature of 600 degrees centigrade. Similarly, if you take B3 E3, it gives you time taken for 100% transformation of austenite into perlite at a constant temperature of 550 degrees centigrade. Correct? That means what is the purpose of this diagram? To find out time taken for transformation at a constant temperature. Correct? To find out time taken for transformation at a constant temperature. Therefore, these curves are also called as isothermal transformation curves. This is the reason why they are called as isothermal transformation curves. Right? Isothermal transformation curves both things. Because they give you time taken for transformation, constant temperature. Next, they are also having a fifth name. TTT diagram, also called as TTT diagram, right? In our discussion, okay, what is that we found out? We try to find out the time taken for transformation of austenite into perlite or austenite into bilite or austenite into martensite at constant temperature. At constant temperature, austenite will transform into perlite or austenite will transform into bilite or austenite will transform into martensite at different temperature ranges. Now, at any constant temperature, what is the time taken for austenite to transform into perlite, or what is the time taken for austenite to transform into bilite, or what is the time taken for austenite to transform into martensite बोल के आप यहाँ से find out कर सकते हैं या नहीं? Right? So that is basically the purpose of so-called TTT diagram. आइए दोस्तों. Now, there are some questions that are being asked in the examinations. In the examinations, we are coming across
डायरी.
learning for you. ज़्यादा उधर मैं देख लूँगा है कि
Increasing because free energy of the alloy system is intrinsic. Actually is 210. That is martensic formation starts as MS. What is the importance of 210 degree centigrade? 210 degree centigrade is called as MS. Martensic formation starting temperature है ना? मैं बोल रहा था. MS temperature is 210. That is martensic formation starting temperature. So try to draw this constant temperature line. Yes, this is 210 degree centigrade MS temperature line. Then what is to be done? Project B7 and E7 to 210 degree centigrade. Sure. Project करेंगे तो ready? Project B7 इधर आएगा. Right, this is B7. Project E7 इधर आएगा. This is E7. Right. Now join B6 and B7. This is beginning line on which unstable arsenate will be present. That percentage transformation of arsenate up. Constant also into martensite at different temperature ranges. Now, at any constant temperature, what is the time taken for arsenate to transform into perlite? Or what is the time taken for arsenate to transform into bainite? Or what is the time taken for arsenate to transform into martensite? बोल के आप यहाँ से find out कर सकते हैं नहीं? Right? So that is basically the purpose of so-called TTT diagram. आइए दोस्तों. Now, there are some questions that are being asked. in the examinations, we are coming across questions once in 5 years. Once in 5 years in IES. In GATE examinations, there is no guarantee. They don't go so deeper. But in IES examinations, they went to this extent once in 5 years. So, एक बार पूछा गया था one question. Is the TTT diagram a phase diagram or not? This is not a phase diagram. कैसा बोल सकते हैं? Phase diagram y axis में टेम्परेचर रहता है, x axis में कंपोजिशन रहता है. इसका y axis में टेम्परेचर रहा, x axis में टाइम रहा. लेकिन डायग्राम में एक्स एक्स में कंपोजिशन रहता है ना, इसी के वास्ते यहाँ पर एक्स एक्स में कंपोजिशन नहीं रहने की वजह से इसको फेज डायग्राम नहीं बोल सकते हैं. नेक्स्ट, इज इट इक्विलिब्रियम डायग्राम और नॉट? दिस इज नॉट इक्विलिब्रियम डायग्राम. व्हाई नॉट सर? इक्विलिब्रियम डायग्राम बोले तो द डाटा रिक्वायर्ड फॉर कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ द डायग्राम शुड कम फ्रॉम स्लो कूलिंग और स्लो हीटिंग कंडीशंस. लेकिन यहाँ पर कैसा है बेटा, B1 E1 B2 E2 B3 सारा डाटा कैसा डेवलपमेंट कर दिया तू? By constant temperature holding the data required for construction of the diagram should come from slow cooling or slow heating conditions. लेकिन यहाँ पर कैसा है बेटा, B1 E1 B2 E2 B3 सारा इसको फेज डायग्राम नहीं बोल सकते हैं. नेक्स्ट, इज इट इक्विलिब्रियम डायग्राम और नॉट? दिस इज नॉट. Equilibrium diagram, why not sir? Equilibrium diagram बोले तो the data required for construction of the diagram should come from slow cooling or slow heating conditions. लेकिन यहाँ पर कैसा है बेटा, B1 E1 B2 E2 B3 सारा डेटा कैसा डेवलपमेंट कर दिया तू? बाय कांस्टेंट टेंपरेचर होल्डिंग. by slow cooling or slow heating. A constant temperature holding your generator data. Therefore, this is not equilibrium diagram. आइए बेटा, इक्विलिब्रियम डायग्राम कहलाने के लिए इसकी जरूरत है. लिक्विड एरिया, लिक्विड प्लस सॉलिड एरिया और सॉलिड एरिया दिखना है. But remember, this is based on which transformation? Based on eutectile transformation. Eutectile transformation takes place purely in solid state. Therefore यहाँ पर liquid area और liquid plus solid area दिखता नहीं है. This diagram is what? In solid state. So this is not equilibrium diagram. This is not phase diagram. आगे बढ़ते हैं. In next year, next time, not next year. बोलते हैं 5 साल बाद. Another question has come. What is there on y-axis? What is there on x-axis? For TTD diagram, if you have seen once in your life, you will remember. Y-axis temperature, x-axis time. Next time, that is 5 years later, they have given a question, a typical question like this. Let me try to show it to you, friends. Suppose, इन्होंने क्या किया बेटा? एक exam में क्या किया? He has taken 2 line lengths. He has taken 2 line lengths. He named these lines as line number 1 and this is line number 2, green color lines. Now these 2 green color lines are intersecting the 2 yellow lines. These points of intersection have been labeled as small a, small b, and this is called small c, this is called small d. Right? Now examiners have asked the candidates, out of a, b, c, d points, at which point do you find fine per light? At which point do you find fine per light? बोल पूछा. Right? मैं आगे बढ़ने से पहले, let me assume you don't know. तुम्हारे को आंसर मालूम नहीं है. Right? लेकिन मैं एक सहायता कर रहा हूँ, पकड़ लेना. Simple ideology. When someone draws the curves like this, ये green curve जो ड्राइंग कर दिया बेटा, क्या बताते हैं? ये green lines का slope क्या बताते हैं? dy by dx. dy is temperature difference. dx is the time. 50 degree centigrade per second, 100 degree centigrade per second, 20 degree centigrade per second. That is the dy by dx of these green curves. What is that I have spoken? Cooling rate. Correct. So slope of the green curves indicates cooling rate. बोलो. Out of curve number 1 and 2, वो दोनों को एक दूसरे से कंपेयर करने से, which is having higher slope. Higher slope is belonging to 2, lower slope is that of 1. Therefore, you can say 2 is giving rise to faster cooling, 1 is giving rise to slow cooling. बोले तो furnace cooling हो सकता है. 2 is fast cooling like air cooling, 1 is slow cooling like furnace cooling. अब बोले तो पढ़ लिया था आपने. Furnace cooling means annealing. Furnace cooling means annealing. Annealing में coarse per light मिलता है. So on this curve you should get coarse per light. Slightly fast cooling means air cooling. Air cooling बोले तो normalizing. So on the second curve you must get fine per light. Correct? Next, आइए बेटा. Point A and D, point A and D are on the beginning curve. That means on this curve, transformation अभी beginning हो गया. So what is the phase present at the beginning of transformation? Unstable last night. So on this curve it will be unstable last night. Correct? On this curve it will be unstable last night. So at A and at D, what you are having is unstable last night. Now at B and C are on the ending curve. This is ending curve of transformation. जब transformation end हो जाते हैं, what is that you are going to get? Perlite. In this region, in this temperature region, you are going to get perlite. अब आइए, 1 is furnace cooling or annealing. Annealing में coarse per light मिलता है कहाँ पर? At B. Curve number 2 is like normalizing fast cooling. In fast cooling or normalizing fine per light मिलता है कहाँ पर? Is at C or at D? D is the beginning. Unstable last night मिलता D में. C में C is on ending curve. Therefore at C you are going to get per light. Which per light? By normalizing process you will get fine per light at C. Correct or not? वैसा. Suppose मैं एक fictitious imagination कर रहा हूँ. What is the fictitious imagination, sir? So now let me show you. Suppose उन्होंने इस डायग्राम में ये दो कर्व ड्राइंग करते हैं। मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ, सपोज मैं कितने ड्राइंग कर सकता हूँ ऐसा कर्व, बहुत सारा ड्राइंग कर सकता हूँ। नाउ सपोज दिस इज कॉल्ड एज नोज, दिस इज नोन एज nose of the TTT diagram. It's called as nose of the TTT diagram. Now touching the nose of the TTT diagram, if I draw a cooling rate curve, touching the nose of the TTT diagram, if I draw a cooling rate curve, do you know what is this cooling rate called as? This cooling rate curve is what is called as critical cooling rate. This curve is called as critical cooling rate. Critical cooling rate. Critical cooling rate. बोले तो CCR बोलते हैं. So what is critical cooling rate? Critical cooling rate is a cooling rate, come on, which touches the nose of TTT diagram, which touches nose of TTT diagram. Is the point clear? और कहाँ जाना बेटा? If you go along this line, what is the microstructure you are going to get? This curve is going into, come on, below MF14. बोलो क्या मिलता है बेटा? Martin side structure मिलता है. कहाँ से? शुरुआत में कौन है? Unstable austenite. No, above A1 is stable austenite है शुरुआत में. If you go along this critical cooling rate graph, that means if you quench a steel, if you quench a steel at critical cooling rate, if you steel at critical cooling rate, what's going to happen? Austenite will directly transform into martensite. Without passing through perlite and bainite regions, is this graph. Is this cooling rate passing through perlite and bainite? No. So without passing through perlite and bainite regions from austenite, it is possible to obtain martensitic structure. लेकिन ऐसा by quenching the steel at critical cooling rate. Then what is critical cooling rate? Critical cooling rate is, come on, the cooling rate which touches nose of the TTT diagram. So सीधा austenite से martensite जब तुम्हारे को मिलना है, the minimum cooling rate that is required for the direct transformation is called as critical cooling rate. Right now, critical cooling rate is defined as the minimum cooling rate that is required, the minimum cooling rate that is required for transformation of austenite into martensite. For transformation of austenite into martensite directly, comma, without passing through perlite and bainite regions. Without passing through perlite and bainite regions, right? Full stop. और इस डायग्राम की तरफ देखो बेटा. सपोज मैं दूसरा किसी कूलिंग रेट कर्व को दिखाता हूं. चलो बेटा, A1 से शुरू करता हूं. मैं A1 से मैं ये वाला कूलिंग रेट ड्राइंग कर दूं. Tell me what is the importance of this red color cooling rate curve? Sir, this red color cooling rate curve is having its slope more than that of critical cooling rate. More than that of critical cooling rate है. More than critical cooling rate में जाने से कौन सा phase transformation बनता है? Austenite will transform into martensite. आगे मतलब. So, if you what is the critical cooling rate defined as? Critical cooling rate is defined as minimum cooling rate. It is the minimum cooling rate which is required for direct conversion of arsenate into martensite. बोले तो martensite directly पाने के लिए arsenate से कम से कम कितना cooling rate apply करना? If you apply a cooling rate more than the critical cooling rate, it is still fine. You will get martensite only, right? You will get martensite only. But the minimum critical cooling rate, that is required for direct conversion of arsenate into martensite is called as critical cooling rate. Point is clear to you? Okay, दूसरा तीसरा चीज भी है that is how to obtain binary transformation, what is आस टेम्परिंग, what is आस फॉर्मिंग, what is नॉट टेम्परिंग बोल के ये सारा चीज हम इस डायग्राम का सहायता से एक्सप्लेन करना पड़ता है, राइट? चलिए, let us try to proceed forward to talk about different types of ordering. So you have done this. So in this particular discussion, the last 1 hour plus time, हम लोग क्या किया था? We have tried to see the basics of Aptitude diagram. We have explained how the data generation is going to take place. Then we try to explain how the generated data is going to be converted into Aptitude diagram. Then we try to explain various questions. ये यहाँ पर एक क्वेश्चन का समाधान दे देते हैं. As you go from curve number 1 to curve number 2, item curve number 3, 4 group. रेड कलर तक जैसा आप जा रहा है बेटा, as you go from curve number 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to blue color to red color था. Imagine I have drawn so many curves here, cooling rate curve. As you go from right side to left side, tell me what is happening to the time? Transformation time का क्या हो रहा? Can you see the diagram? Come on. See this diagram and tell me. As you go from the first cooling rate curve towards the blue color curve and then red color curve, what is happening to the time on the x-axis? देखो तो time on the x-axis is decreasing or not, beta? Right? So this is the question in your workbook. As you go from curve number 1 to curve number the red color curve, what happens to the transformation time? Transformation time decreases. Out of all these curves, which curve will take lowest time for transformation? Red color curve will take lowest time for transformation. Correct? Because you see here, as you are going from first curve to the red color curve, what is happening on the x-axis? You are going from right side to left side. Right side to left side, time is decreasing. Transformation time is decreasing. Right. Once you have identified this, let us quickly develop or further understanding about other types of hardening techniques. We'll try to show them here. Smart tempering. Smart tempering used to be discussed. Come on. Similarly, ask farming needs to be covered. Ask farming needs to be covered. Similarly, we have to cover what is called as ask tempering. Ask tempering. Now to explain all this, we only need to go with TT diagram. So fatapat, 3 TT diagram drawing करेंगे. We try to draw 3 TT diagrams. Y-axis is temperature, x-axis is time. Right? So let us say this is A1 line, and here is the TT diagram. Let us say this is MS line. Right? Similarly here, we try to draw another TT diagram. Temperature on y-axis and time on x-axis. This is A1 line. Here is, let's say, the market starting line on y-axis called A1 line, the so-called MS temperature line. Right? Next, I am trying to show you here. In ask tempering, this is the cooling rate curve I have shown. This is the cooling rate curve I have shown. Right? The cooling rate curve is going into binary creation here by isothermal holding. Similarly, in ask farming, ask next stage say farming command. So show the cooling rate like that, and then show rolling or forging symbol दिखा के cool it down to room temperature in oil. That's called ask farming. In mud tempering process, show a cooling down like that, and that's how you have to show in mud. Right? Now, ध्यान दीजिए about this TT diagrams. Simple understanding is being promoted. ध्यान दीजिए. Can you observe this diagram? What is this cooling rate? Is it critical cooling rate or more than critical cooling rate? So, more than critical cooling rate. Perfect. How about this? More than critical cooling rate because it's on the left side of the nose. Therefore, it's more than critical cooling rate. क्या बोलो? Is it equal to critical cooling rate or more than critical cooling rate? More than critical cooling rate. तो तीनों में same principle है. Intertard steel is taken, for example, intertard steel is taken. कौन सा intertard steel? Austenite intertard steel. हाँ, क्या कर रहा है? Austenite intertard steel is taken. It is cooled at a more than the critical cooling rate. कहाँ तक कूलिंग करेगा? Between the nose and MS. Nose and MS. ये दोनों टेम्परेचर के बीच में किसी एक टेम्परेचर को रैपली कूलिंग करो. Then hold the temperature constant. At this constant temperature, hold it for a fairly long time. कितना time? Maybe 5 hours to 6 hours of time. Holding करना पड़ता है. When you hold the specimen at the constant temperature, what happens? Cooling rate curve will enter into binary region on the right side. Then happens, sir. When the cooling rate curve enters binary region, यहाँ पर क्या होता? Binary transformation होता है. Therefore, austenite will get converted into 100% binary. Austenite will get converted into 100% binary in this process. Sir, when austenite gets converted to 100% binary, बाद में क्या करोगे? You are cooling it to room temperature in air. Air cooling करके, open air cooling करके, room temperature ला रहा है. Now people will be expecting, sir, एक बार binary जब बन गया, if you cool it to room temperature, will it transform into mark tensile? No. Binary once formed, binary once formed is a stable phase. बेटा अगर unstable phase है, वो cooling करने से दूसरा phase जैसा transform हो सकता है. लेकिन binary once formed here is a stable phase. That is the reason why no further transformation will take place into mark tensile. वैसा ही रह जाएगा. और जिस स्टील में 100% binary structure मिलता है, it will have excellent toughness. It will have excellent toughness. Right? That is the importance of ask tempering process. So अगर आप किसी एप्लीकेशन में टफ स्टील के बारे में देख रहा है बेटा, तुम्हारा पहला चॉइस होना है ask tempered steel. Right? आइए आगे. What is ask forming, sir? बेटा देखो यहाँ पर. Austenitized steel is क्या बोला बेटा? Austenitized intertard steel is taken and it is rapidly cooled at what rate? At a rate more than critical cooling rate. Up to what temperature? Up to a temperature between nose and MS temperature. ये दोनों का बीच में किसी एक टेम्परेचर कूलिंग करके बाद में क्या करता है? Rolling or forging. This is the symbol. This is the symbol of rolling or forging कर दिया जाता है. Rolling or forging कर दिया जाता है. When you do rolling or forging followed by cooling to room temperature in oil. Cooling to room temperature in oil कर दिया.
अभी वाला लाया ये हफ्ते वाला
मैगजीन मिली
अरे
क्या?
मैगजीन लाया ये मैगजीन है अलग ही थप्पी लगाना उसको
हाँ प्रफुल क्या बोलते हैं? हाँ बोल। और लाइफ चालू है। अरे वो मैंने सिम कार्ड पुराने फ़ोन में डाला था कि उससे व्हाट्सएप वगैरह चलो। नहीं मैं न्यूज़पेपर रीडिंग कर रहा था तो तेरा फ़ोन देखा। हाँ। हम्म। हाँ वो फॉर्मूले और वो नहीं, मैं आरआरबी नहीं, मैं डायरेक्ट वो यूपीएससी एग्ज़ाम देने वाला हूँ। अभी तो मैं सिलेबस ही कवर नहीं हुआ ना। वो मेरा सिलेबस ही कवर नहीं हुआ, अभी सिर्फ 5 ही सब्जेक्ट हुए हैं। इसलिए नहीं। हम्म। नहीं, फुल टाइम पढ़ाई। हम्म, हम्म, तो तेरा क्या हुआ फिर जॉब वगैरह का? हम्म, हम्म, अच्छा। अब कोई जॉब नहीं कर रहा है फिर कोई? अच्छा, कहाँ पे कर रहा है? अच्छा, काहे की हुई है? हम्म, हाँ क्या क्या काम करना पड़ता है उसमें? अच्छा। हम्म। यानी उसका वो सीवी के अंदर एक्सपीरियंस तो ऐड हो जाएगा तेरा। सीवी में एक्सपीरियंस ऐड हो जाएगा ना सेक्शन में। नहीं, डायरेक्ट गवर्नमेंट। नहीं वो न्यूज़पेपर था थोड़ा। नहीं ये एम्प्लॉयमेंट न्यूज़ है वो इसके अंदर। हिंदू बेस्ड है। हम्म, हम्म, अच्छा। हाँ। हम्म, हाँ मटेरियल साइंस। नहीं मेरे को आज मटेरियल साइंस ख़त्म करने का था सब्जेक्ट, 2 ही लेक्चर बाकी थे उसके, तो वो लिखा था मैंने। नहीं संस्कार कॉल पे बात नहीं करता वैसे। हम्म, हम्म, अच्छा। हम्म, हम्म, हम्म। तो वो थंबनेल देखा क्या मेरा, वो अच्छा लगा क्या? हम्म, हो गया। अरे वो बहुत याद याद करता सब लोग को। हम्म, हाँ, वो बैठा है तो। हाँ। वो मैंने उसको बोला कि क्या कर रहा, तो वो बोले कि मैंने अप्लाई किया बोले यूनिवर्सिटी में जनवरी जनवरी में। अभी उसका इधर ही क्या हाल होता था तो उधर तो वही। उसका इतना पोपट हो गया था भाई, वो डिप्रेशन में चले गया था। हम्म, 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 ऐसे हाँ, नाश्ता करके बैठा तो पड़े वो। अब फुल फोकस। अबे नहीं भाई, अभी उसका सिलेबस इतना है, 25 सब्जेक्ट है उसमें, 25। हम्म, 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 और, बराबर। ऐसा है। हाँ, ओबीसी में ज़्यादा नहीं रहता, जैसे बस 200 रैंक का फर्क रहता है, ज़्यादा नहीं रहता। हाँ, नहीं ना, वो मेरे को देखना था कि मेरा वो रिजल्ट प्रिंट हुआ कि नहीं, फिर पता चलेगा। हो गया होगा क्या मेरा अभी तक सेकेंड ईयर का, मतलब वो सेम 4 का रिजल्ट हो गया होगा प्रिंट मेरा। हो गया। अच्छा, तो मेरा वो प्रोविजनल डिग्री हो गई होंगी क्या प्रिंट अभी? हाँ, हो गया। तो मैं कभी भी आके ले सकता क्या फिर? अच्छा। हाँ, अच्छा, तो मेरा भी हो गया होगा, फिर मैं भी अभी चले जाऊँगा दिवाली के बाद। क्या? हाँ हाँ हाँ, कॉन्वोकेशन का पता नहीं है, उसमें अपना नाम भरना था, वो बोल रहे थे तुम? हाँ शायद भरा मैंने, वो कोई गूगल शीट आई थी अपनी, शीट्स आई थी ना। अभी मैं घर में बैठा हूँ ना। नहीं, बाहर है अभी मंगलू। बीच में हॉल में बैठा हूँ। हम्म, चल फिर, बाय बाय। पेपर पढ़ना भी हो गया। प्रफुल, अगर तू लाइव स्ट्रीम देख रहा है तो हाय लिख देना चैट में, कोई गाली मत लिखना।
तो क्या होता सर? Whatever the mark peanut जब बन गया ना, if you cool it between the nose and MS, nose and MS, ये between the cool है still, austenitis is intertided still, हाँ क्या कर रहा है? austenitis is intertided still is taken, it is cooled at his end more than the critical cooling range, कहाँ तक? कहाँ तक कूलिंग कर लिया बेटा? Between the nose and MS. Nose and MS, ये दोनों टेम्परेचर के बीच में किसी एक टेम्परेचर तक रैपिडली कूलिंग करो, then hold the temperature constant at this Can temperature hold it for a fairly long time? कितना time? Maybe 5 hours to 6 hours of time holding करना पड़ता है. When you hold the specimen at a constant temperature, what happens? Cooling rate curve will enter into binetic region on the right side. Then happens, sir. When the cooling rate curve enters binetic region, यहाँ पर क्या होता? Binetic transformation होता है. Therefore, austenite will get converted into 100% binite. Austenite will get converted into 100% binite in this process. Sir, when austenite gets converted to 100% binite, बाद में क्या कर रहा है तो? You are cooling it to room temperature in air. एयर कूलिंग करके, ओपन एयर कूलिंग करके रूम टेम्परेचर आ रहा है. Now people will be expecting, sir, एक बार binite जब बन गया, if you cool it to room temperature, will it transform into martensite? No, binite once formed is a stable phase. बेटा अगर अनस्टेबल फेज है तो कूलिंग करने से दूसरा फेज के अंदर ट्रांसफॉर्म हो सकता है. लेकिन बाई it once formed here is a stable phase. That is the reason why no further transformation will take place into martensite. वैसा ही रह जाता. और जिस स्टील में 100% binetic structure मिलता है, it will have excellent toughness. It will have excellent toughness. Right. That is important for mass tempering process. So अगर आप किसी एप्लीकेशन में टफ स्टील के बारे में देख रहा है बेटा, तुम्हारा पहला चॉइस होना है मास टेम्पर्ड स्टील. राइट. आइए व्हाट इज ऑस्फॉर्मिंग सर? बेटा देखो यहाँ पर austenitized steel is क्या बोल रहे हैं? Austenitized tempered steel is taken and it is rapidly cooled at what rate? At a rate more than critical cooling rate. Up to what temperature? Up to temperature between nose and MS temperature. After it is the third steel is taken and it is rapidly cooled at what rate? Rate more than critical cooling rate. Up to what temperature? Up to a temperature between nose and MS. It is rapidly cooled at what rate? At a rate more than critical cooling rate. To what temperature? Up to a temperature between nose and MS temperature. ये दोनों का बीच में किसी एक टेम्परेचर कूलिंग करके बाद में क्या करता है? रोलिंग और फोर्जिंग. दिस इज द सिंबल. दिस इज द सिंबल ऑफ रोलिंग और फोर्जिंग कर दिया जाता है. When you do rolling or forging followed by cooling to room temperature in oil, cooling to room temperature in oil कर दिया तो क्या होगा सर? Whatever the martensite is formed here, whatever the martensite is formed here, it will get broken down into finer and finer sizes. That fine divided martensite gets uniformly distributed throughout the lattice. So finely divided. Tensile, when it is uniformly distributed through the lattice, it increases the tensile strength as well as ductility. That is the advantage of arch forming. When it is uniformly distributed through the lattice, it increases the tensile strength as well as ductility. That is the advantage of arch forming. So arch forming process में क्या arch gets converted into finely divided and uniformly distributed mark tensile. Uniformly distributed arch gets converted into finely divided and uniformly distributed mark tensile. ऐसा होने से कौन सा फायदा बनता है? When this transformation takes place, tensile strength increases and ductility increases. Tensile strength and ductility of steel will increase. Tensile strength and
हेलो ब्रो, मेरे डीजी का सब्सक्रिप्शन कितने में लिया? मैंने 2 साल वाला लिया हूँ, रिकॉर्डेड सेशन है, ऑलमोस्ट 1 लाख रुपए का है। डिस्काउंट वगैरह रहता है उसमें क्योंकि मेरा पहले का भी कोर्स था, लेकिन अगर नया बच्चा है, नया स्टूडेंट है तो 1 लाख रुपए तक जाता है उसका, जीएसटी वगैरह पकड़ के। साढ़े 8 भी बज गए क्या? साढ़े 8 बहुत जल्दी बज गए। टाइम ही मालूम नहीं पड़ा।
of T will increase, tensile strength, conductivity of field will increase by arch forming process. Yes, इस तरफ देखिए. What is mark tempering, sir? Again in mark tempering process, लमा बढ़ाते. Austenitizing the third steel is cooled at a rate more than critical cooling rate. Up to what temperature? Up to a temperature between nose of the TT diagram and MS temperature. Cooled at a rate more than, again in mark tempering process. Come on, beta, देखिए. Austenitizing the third steel is cooled. at a rate more than critical cooling rate. What temperature? Up to a temperature between nose of the TTT diagram and MS temperature. Yeah, cooling करके then it is held at a constant temperature for a short period of अगर यहाँ पर क्या बोला for a short period of time long period होल्डिंग कर दिया तो बाइनरी ट्रांसमिशन हो जाती है इसी के वास्ते हम बाइनरी बनाना चाहते हैं that's why hold it at a constant temperature for a short period of time होल्डिंग करने के बाद cool the steel to room temperature in air सर वैसा करने से क्या होता है it will transform into martensite. Arsenic will transform into martensite. In this process also, arsenic transforms into martensite only. Now you must be having a doubt. Sir, in core hardening process that we have discussed yesterday, here also arsenic was getting transformed into martensite. Here also arsenic is getting transformed into martensite. लेकिन क्या अंतर है सर? देखो बेटा, ठीक देखो क्या? In this process, आप क्या कर रहा है? Single stage में quenching नहीं कर रहा है बेटा, याद में ले लो. You are initially cooling up to this temperature between MS temperature and nose के बीच में एक temperature first stage quenching कर रहा है. Then you are giving some holding time at a temperature. After holding time is over, after holding time is over, then you are cooling again. That means this is one stage, this is second stage. Two stage cooling, and in between the two stages you are holding at high temperature. Yes or no? So mart tempering is also called as hardening process associated with multi-stage quenching. Hardening process associated with multi-stage quenching बोलते. Hardening process associated with multi-stage quenching बोलते. You are not cooling in one stage. Yesterday, whatever the hardening process we have studied, in that process, what is done? Steel is cooled directly from austenitic temperature to room temperature below room temperature in single stage. That's the difference between mart tempering and hardening that we have studied yesterday. आगे, sir, single stage में quenching करने से क्या problem है? Already देख लिया भाई. You have seen yesterday. Internal stresses will be more. Quench crack formation will be more. Corrosion resistance will decrease. Distortion of shape will take place. Retained arsenic formation will take place. Have you seen those problems in single stage? Problems associated with single stage quenching? Now, if you want to reduce those problems, don't go by single stage quenching. Between two successive stages.
पढ़ाई कर रहा हूँ. आज मटेरियल साइंस कंप्लीट करना है पूरा. शायद और 4 घंटे पढ़ूंगा तो कंप्लीट हो जाएगा.
Quenching, if you hold the material at some high temperature, do you know what is going to happen? Residual stresses will decrease, internal stresses will decrease, quench crack formation will decrease, right? Corrosion resistance इतना ज़्यादा घट जाता नहीं, distortion of shape ज़्यादा बनता नहीं. These are going to be the advantages of mart tempering. That is, quench cracks, distortion of shape, internal stresses will be minimum. Mart tempering structure बनता है, लेकिन disadvantages जो problem जो मैं पहले लिख दिया था ना, वो वाला problems यहाँ पर नहीं बन पाएगा. So I write here. Advantages of mart tempering compared to conventional hardening. Advantages of mart tempering are internal stresses will be less. Internal stresses will be less. Internal stresses will be less. Next, quench cracks will be less. Quench cracks and distortion. Quench cracks and distortion will be less. In mart tempering compared to conventional hardening process studied yesterday. All right? Come on, friends. Next. Those are the applications of the TTT diagram for hardening. These are also called as different types of hardening process. Beta. Ask tempering, ask forming, and mark tempering processes have been examined by us. Now we are going to another concept of hardenability. Another concept of hardenability. Please write down. Hardenability. Hardenability. Dash Jomini test. Jomini test. Hardenability dash Jomini test. Write down, madam. Hardenability is defined as hardenability. Hardenability is defined as the ease with which austenite can be converted. Austenite can be converted into completely martensitic. Completely martensitic or predominantly martensitic structure. Predominantly martensitic structure. Right. Friends, we have what are yesterday we had some discussion regarding plain carbon steels and alloy steels, right? In plain carbon steels, carbon content can be varied. So you have low carbon steels, medium carbon steels, and high carbon steels. बोल दिया था. Similarly, there are alloy steels. So ये अलग-अलग steels जो है बेटा, अलग-अलग steels है. Plain carbon steels और alloy steels में कितना आसान से आप आर्सेनाइड को completely martensitic का जैसा या predominantly martensitic structure का जैसा ट्रांसफॉर्म कर सकते हैं. That ease is called as hardenability, right? बेटा जब भी हम लोग ऐसा बोलते हैं ease बोल के, the ease with which it is defined as the ease with which
अरे पापा मेरे को कॉफ़ी होना था, कम शक्कर, मेरे को कॉफ़ी होना था, हाँ कम शक्कर और एक्स्ट्रा हार्ड, हाँ ठीक है.
Austenite can be converted into martensitic or predominantly martensitic होती है. बेटा तुम्हारा कस्टमर तुम्हारे को स्पेसिफिकेशन देता है. Whether he wants to have 100% martensitic structure or 90% martensitic structure is all right for him or 80% martensitic structure is all right for him बोल के तुम्हारा कस्टमर तुम्हारे को स्पेसिफिकेशन देता है. इसी के वास्ते बेटा एक एप्लीकेशन में 100% martensitic की जरूरत होती है. एक एप्लीकेशन में predominantly martensitic structure रहा तो ठीक चलेगा. Now the ease with which austenite can be converted into completely martensitic or predominantly martensitic structure is called as hardenability. बोल के सेंटेंस तुम्हारे सामने छोड़ दिया. Now next sentence is hardenability is determined by hardenability is determined by two things. There are two ways. I am writing them here. By the minimum cooling rate, the minimum critical cooling rate required for
हाँ, वो जब से JEE की पढ़ाई कर रहा था ना, तब से आदत लग गई। वो ऑटोमेटिक ही हो जाता, मैं देखता भी नहीं तो भी वो ऐसा हो जाता।
Transformation of austenite, for transformation of austenite into completely martensitic or predominantly martensitic structure. Predominantly martensitic structure. Predominantly martensitic structure. Predominantly martensitic structure. So harder what?
भाई को सब आता है। तो तुम दोनों पढ़ाई कर रहे क्या अभी? राज और सुमन, पढ़ाई करो साथ में बैठ के।
Hardenability is determined in two ways. First way is by using the minimum critical cooling rate, which is required for transformation of austenite into completely martensitic or predominantly martensitic structure. बेटा जब भी ये वाला कॉन्सेप्ट आता है इसको एलाबोरेट करना पड़ता है, अभी करूंगा। दूसरा पॉइंट लिखने के बाद, सेकंड मेथड ऑफ डिसाइडिंग hardenability is determined by the depth up to which
करो बिल्कुल फुल ताकत से।
the depth up to which austenite is converted into such a structure both either completely martensitic or predominantly martensitic structure. The depth up to which austenite is converted into completely martensitic structure or predominantly martensitic structure. Right? These are the two methods of determining hardenability. अब आइए बेटा एक पॉइंट यहाँ पर लिखेंगे, that is second technique is related to Jomini test. Second point is related to Jomini test. तो फिर फर्स्ट पॉइंट क्या है सर? मिनिमम क्रिटिकल कूलिंग रेट रिक्वायर्ड फॉर ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन ऑफ ऑस्टेनाइट बोलने में मतलब क्या है? I am elaborating on the particular point. Let me say related to this aspect. Let me take here. Related to this point that I am writing here. What is the meaning of minimum critical cooling rate? How are you going to achieve minimum critical cooling rate? A important aspect है. Hardenability is inversely proportional to hardenability.
बढ़िया लगे रहो।
Is inversely proportional to critical cooling rate. Hardenability is inversely proportional to critical cooling rate. मतलब क्या है बेटा? एक स्टील का क्रिटिकल कूलिंग रेट ज्यादा रहता है, एक स्टील का क्रिटिकल कूलिंग रेट बहुत कम रहता है. So when the critical cooling rate is small, hardenability is high. If the critical cooling rate is large, if the critical cooling rate for steel is more, it means hardenability is less. So this implies lower the critical cooling rate, CCR. Lower the critical cooling rate, CCR. बोलिए यहाँ पर लिखो. Lower the critical cooling rate. From this expression we understand higher is the hardenability. Higher is the hardenability. Lower the critical cooling rate, higher is the hardenability. Or higher the critical cooling rate, lower is the hardenability. Lower is the hardenability of steel. Lower is the hardenability of steel. Lower is the hardenability of steel. Because hardenability and critical cooling rate are inversely related. Right. Next point be my both of them. Series of points will come here. Series of points. That's why I am not changing the color of the pen. Next. Say for example, suppose मैं यहाँ पर लिखता हूँ बेटा, alloy steels have less critical cooling rate compared to high carbon steels. High carbon steels have less critical cooling rate compared to medium carbon steels. Medium carbon steels have less critical cooling rate compared to low carbon steels. Okay. Most important information is this. Most important information is this. Right? That is, as you go from right side to left side, as you go from left side, right side to left side, critical cooling rate decreases. So which steel is having highest critical cooling rate? Low carbon steel is having highest critical cooling rate. Which steel is having lowest critical cooling rate? Lowest critical cooling rate belongs to alloy steels. And critical cooling rate, when critical cooling rate is lower, hard deniability is higher. Therefore, as you go from right side to left side, hard deniability increases. Hard deniability increases. As you go from right side to left side, critical cooling rate decreases, hard deniability increases. Upper, out of these steels, which steel is having lowest critical cooling rate? Alloy steel. Which steel is having highest hard deniability? Highest hard deniability is belonging to alloy steels. Right. Public topic. Sir, you are saying, yes, you are saying that alloy steels are having highest hard deniability, so they can be easily transformed. Come on, they can be easily transformed from austenitic structure to martensitic structure. How do you transform, sir? Alloy steels को ले जाके एयर कूलिंग करने से, एयर क्वेंचिंग, ओपन एयर क्वेंचिंग करने से, alloy steels में ओपन एयर क्वेंचिंग करने से austenitic transforms into martensitic. That is the reason why alloy steels are called as air hardened steels. That's why they are called as air hardened steels, because ओपन एयर में क्वेंचिंग करने से alloy steels में बनता है बेटा. इससे आसान मेथड कोई करता है? इसी के वास्ते alloy steels are having highest hardenability. चलो आगे. Compared to alloy steels, high carbon steels will have slightly higher critical cooling rate. That means एयर कूलिंग करने से यहाँ पर martensitic structure नहीं बनता, तो क्या करना है सर? ऑयल कूलिंग करना है बेटा, यहाँ पर ऑयल कूलिंग करना पड़ता है. That is why they are called as oil hardened steels. That is why they are known as oil hardened steels. That's the reason why they are called as oil hardened steels. क्यों बोले तो? Compared to alloy steels, high carbon steels will have higher critical cooling rate. Therefore, एयर कूलिंग करने से यहाँ पर high carbon steels में martensitic structure नहीं बनता, ऑयल कूलिंग करना पड़ता है. ऑयल कूलिंग करने से जिस स्टील्स में martensitic structure मिल रहा है, such steels are called as oil hardened steels. That's medium carbon steels will have slightly more critical cooling rate than high carbon steels. बोलते क्या? Medium carbon steels को ले जाके ऑयल में क्वेंचिंग करने से यहाँ पर martensitic structure नहीं होता, तो फिर क्या करना सर? martensitic structure पाने के लिए कमान बेटा मीडियम कार्बन स्टील्स को ले जाके वाटर में क्वेंचिंग करना है या ब्राइन में क्वेंचिंग करना है. That is why medium carbon steels are called as water hardened steels. Water hardened steels बोलते हैं. They are called as water hardened steels. Medium carbon steels will have higher critical cooling rate. It cannot be achieved by oil cooling or oil quenching. Hence you have to go for water quenching or brine quenching. That is why they are called as water hardened steels. और आगे बढ़ो. Low carbon steels are having highest critical cooling rate out of all steels. Out of all types of steels, low carbon steels are having highest critical cooling rate and lowest hardenability. तो कितना कूलिंग रेट चाहिए यहाँ पर martensitic structure पाने के लिए? Even brine cooling will not be sufficient. Low carbon steels को ले जाए by quenching of low carbon steels in water, but it is not possible to obtain martensitic structure because वाटर से दिया जाने वाला कूलिंग जो है वो सफिशिएंट नहीं है. That is the reason why low carbon steels are called as non-hardenable steels. That is why they are called as non-hardenable. They are called as non-hardenable steels. They are called non-hardenable steel. Right? Come on. As you go from right side to left side, what is happening? Hardenability is increasing. So which steels are having highest hardenability? Alloy steels. ये सारा क्या है? Low carbon, medium carbon, high carbon steels. ये सारा क्या है? Plain carbon steels, right? So comparing with plain carbon steels, alloy steels are having higher hardenability. What is the difference? ये वाला स्टील्स में और ये वाला स्टील्स दोनों में आयरन रहता है, कार्बन रहता है, लेकिन यहाँ पर एक्स्ट्रा कौन है? alloying elements है. So what is the effect of alloying elements on hardenability? बोलो यार. What is the effect of alloying elements on hardenability? सर alloying elements स्टील में ऐड करने से hardenability बढ़ जाते हैं. Why? Critical cooling rate कम हो जाती है. Are you understanding? आगे बढ़ो बेटा. What are these steels called as? Low carbon, medium carbon, high carbon steels. They are called as plain carbon steels. Now as you go from right side to left side, carbon content will increase. Correct or not? जैसा जैसा कार्बन कंटेंट को इंक्रीज कर रहा है, बोलो बेटा, क्रिटिकल कूलिंग रेट डिक्रीज होता और हार्डनेबिलिटी बढ़ जाता. करेक्ट है ना? अब बोलो, व्हाट इज द इफेक्ट ऑफ कार्बन कंटेंट ऑन हार्डनेबिलिटी? बाय इंक्रीजिंग कार्बन कंटेंट इन स्टील्स, हार्डनेबिलिटी विल इंक्रीज. व्हाई? क्रिटिकल कूलिंग रेट विल डिक्रीज. बेटा एलाइंग एलिमेंट्स में जो कोबाल्ट नामक एलिमेंट रहता है, कोबाल्ट इज as a neutral element. Cobalt ऐड करने से critical cooling rate neither increases nor decreases. It's called as a neutral element. Except that all other alloying elements में critical भाई अब कूलिंग रेट जैसा जैसा कार्बन कंटेंट को इंक्रीज कर रहा है, बोलो बेटा, क्रिटिकल कूलिंग रेट डिक्रीज होता और हार्डनेबिलिटी बढ़ जाता. करेक्ट है ना? अब बोलो, What is the effect of carbon content on hardenability? By increasing carbon content in steels, hardenability will increase. Why? Critical cooling rate will decrease. Are you understanding? Alloying elements में जो कोबाल्ट नामक एलिमेंट रहता है, कोबाल्ट इज कंसिडर्ड एज ए न्यूट्रल एलिमेंट. कोबाल्ट ऐड करने से क्रिटिकल कूलिंग रेट neither increases nor decreases. It's called as a neutral. Critical cooling rate neither does not decrease. It's called as a neutral element. Except that all other alloying elements will decrease the cooling rate and increase hardenability. ये सारा जो information है all related to the first point. Hardenability is determined by the minimum critical cooling rate. बोल दिया ना? Under that is of important points. Next. दूसरा रास्ता क्या है भाई? To determine hardenability, the depth up to which, क्या लिखा? You can see that. You have written. Hardenability is determined by the depth up to which arsenate can get transformed into either predominantly martensitic or completely martensitic structure, and this depth is determined by Germany test. That's what I am now taking. Yeah. दोस्तों आज हम 8:30 बजे को डिनर ब्रेक देंगे. Right? So be ready. Today we are going to dinner break at 8:30. Come on. So depth up to which बोल के
अरे भाई याद है, हाँ एकदम स्टार्टिंग में याद है ना, बहुत पहले, शायद 1-2 हफ्ते पहले की बात है.
जर्मनी एंड डिफेंस टेस्ट देखना है. जर्मनी एंड क्वेंच, जर्मनी एंड क्वेंच hardenability test. Germany and quench hardenability test. Germany and quench hardenability test. Come on, दोस्तों. I'm trying to show you the specimen. This is the shape of the specimen made out of electrolyte steel. Right? Now, this specimen is having a diameter of 1 inch, diameter 1 inch. Its height, its total length is 4 inches. 4 inches is the length of the specimen. This particular specimen is heated to red hot condition. When it is heated to red hot condition, it is transferred to a fixture. Understand? This is the fixture. It is transferred to a fixture. This is the fixture. Entirely it is heated to red hot condition. Then it is transferred to a fixture. Electrolyte steel is heated to a red hot condition and then transferred to a fixture. And then at one end, right, we are going to expose this particular bowl-shaped specimen to water issued from an orifice. नल का पानी समझ लीजिए. नल का पानी at room temperature. So this is an orifice of 1 inch diameter. The distance of this orifice from the specimen end, this is called quenched end, इससे दूर ½ inch रहता है बेटा. Now through this orifice, water at room temperature is released in full throttle. This is how water at room temperature is released. Now water is at room temperature. It is released against one end of the heated specimen of bollo. So यहाँ पर क्या हो रहा है? Due to contact with cooling water at room temperature, this end is subjected to quenching. End में quenching हो रहा है. So this is called as quenched end. Quenched end में martensitic structure मिलता है. Now at this end, only air cooling. Air cooled end will develop paralytic structure, 100% paralytic structure. Water cooled end will develop 100% martensitic structure. Now, as you go from this water quenched end to air cooled end, cooling rate keeps on decreasing. As the cooling rate decreases, amount of martensite decreases, amount of paralyte increases. Yes or no? As you go from quenched end towards the air cooled end, amount of martensite decreases and amount of paralyte increases because cooling rate keeps on decreasing. Up. This end quenching is carried out until the entire specimen cools to room temperature. Once the specimen cools to room temperature, we might do a small analysis here. That is, let us say, ये वाला graph construction करेंगे. I'm trying to show you the specimen on the x-axis. Whatever specimen you have shown there, that specimen is being shown here. This specimen is kept horizontally, right? And it is divided into number of divisions of 3 mm gap. 3 मिलीमीटर गैप में मार्किंग कर दिया जाता है. So specimen is divided into number of divisions of 3 मिलीमीटर गैप. 3 मिलीमीटर गैप में ऐसा डिवीजन कर दिया जाता है. Then you try to find out Rockwell hardness on each space, each portion. यहाँ पर Rockwell hardness find out करते हैं. यहाँ पर Rockwell hardness find out करते हैं. In this we find out like that. In every marked portion, we try to find out Rockwell hardness along the distance from quenched end. On x-axis, what is that we are showing? We are showing the distance from quenched end. Distance from quenched end is plotted on the x-axis. Now on the y-axis, we are going to plot Rockwell hardness. We are going to plot the Rockwell hardness of steel as it is found here. These are indentations. Now, when you try to find out Rockwell hardness with the help of this indentation test, quenched end will have martensitic structure with the highest hardness. The open air cooled end will have perlite, 100% perlite with the lowest hardness. Therefore, the graph here comes like that. The graph here comes like that. Highest hardness will be belonging to water quenched end. Lowest hardness will be at the air cooled end due to perlite structure. But ये वाला graph construction करना एक important लक्ष्य है. सर ऐसा क्यों? So if you see, come on, where exactly this graph changes its direction? बेटा ऐसा आगे जाने के अलावा डायरेक्शन को चेंज करके जहां पर ऐसा रिवर्ट हो रहा है बेटा, that distance is what is called as geometry distance. बेटा this is called as geometry distance. जहां पर कर्व अपना ट्रेंड को चेंज करता है, that is called as geometry distance. Normally, what is this geometry distance indicating, sir? At this geometry distance from quenched end, specimen के अंदर माइक्रो स्ट्रक्चर में रहता है बेटा 50% martensite plus 50% perlite रहता है. 50% martensite and 50% perlite रहता है at a distance called as geometry distance. But how do you know what is the geometry distance? कितना है? Where this curve changes its direction. ऐसा सीधा जाने के अलावा ऐसा आके जहां पर ये कर्व अपना ट्रेंड को चेंज करके आगे बढ़ता है बेटा, at up to that point the distance is called as geometry distance. At that location, if you cut the specimen into two pieces and see the microstructure में दिखता है 50% martensite और 50% perlite structure. That the importance of geometry distance. अब आइए बेटा, suppose customer is looking for 80% martensitic structure. Sir, find out the depth up to which at least 80% martensitic structure is. At least 80% बोल दो, 80% रह सकता है, 90 रह सकता है, 100, 80 or more than 80. कितना depth तक आया है? Suppose, let us say for example, after this test is conducted, when you cut these specimens like bread slices के जैसा इनको slicing करके separate specimens का जैसा बना के microstructure observe करो. Find out the depth up to which, कितना depth तक 80% martensitic
भर के लाके दे दो.
बन गया by microstructural examination. What to find out? Suppose you are able to see the required amount of martensite specified by customer up to a depth of 10 millimeters. 10 millimeters in depth तक customer जैसा specify कर दिया वैसा martensite है. Then how do you find out hardenability? Hardenability is, come on, the depth कितना depth बन गया बेटा? 10 millimeters depth तक martensite रहा. Divided by 10 millimeters depth, out of what depth? Total depth is 4 inches. 4 inches बोले तो 100 millimeters. 4 inches बोले तो 100 millimeters. Right? Out of 100 millimeters length of the specimen, 10 millimeters depth तक customer जैसा बोलिए 80% martensite रहना बोले, वहाँ तक 80% martensite रह चुका. So 10 millimeters is the depth up to which predominantly martensitic structure is obtained, divided by total length of the specimen. This gives you 0.1. That 0.1 is called as hardenability. Right? But ये competitive exam का question है. In examining and with hardenability test, suppose the total length of the specimen is converted into martensite. If the total length of the specimen is converted into martensite, what is the hardenability?
1.
This was the question asked. बोलो बेटा total depth is converted into margin size. बोलो तो 100 mm divided by 100 mm gives you 1. So hardenability is 1. If 10 mm is converted, 10 mm depth is converted into margin size. 10 mm by 100, total is 100. 0.1. If 20 mm depth है, अगर 20 mm depth margin size का जैसा ट्रांसफर हो गया, so 20 mm divided by 100 mm कितना होता? 1 by 5, 0.2, right? 50 mm तक margin size स्ट्रक्चर बन गया. 50 mm divided by 100 mm, that is 0.5. With hardenability, वैसा जर्मनी एंड कुछ हार्डनेबिलिटी टेस्ट को यूज करके हार्डनेबिलिटी को डिसाइड करते हैं. राइट, नाउ हैविंग सीन दिस, गेट बैक वंस.
अरे हेलो भाई, क्या कनाडा कब जाने का है?
जो लिख दिया है बेटा, लेट मी राइट शो यू. क्या देखो चल, hardenability बोल तो क्या, what is hardenability, how is hardenability decided, right? Hardenability can be determined based on minimum critical cooling rate or based on the depth up to which martensitic structure or predominantly martensitic structure is obtained. So hardenability critical cooling rate का क्या रिलेशन है, hardenability and carbon content का क्या रिलेशनशिप है, hardenability और aligned elements का क्या रिलेशनशिप है, वो सारा यहाँ पे कवर कर दिया. राइट, नेक्स्ट second point, depth up to which this austenitic structure is converted to martensitic structure कैसा find out करें, that is from Germany and the hardenability test. So what is the purpose of this test? To find out the hardenability of a particular steel. This is all the analysis and this is how we find out the hardenability value of a particular steel. All right, that completes the discussion on Germany independent hardenability test and hardenability. So next, the next topic is surface hardening processes. Surface hardening. Surface hardening processes. Right. You ready?
बड़े
सरफेस हार्डनिंग प्रोसेसेस हम अभी ले रहा है. Come on. As you take up the surface hardening processes, yes. What are surface hardening processes? What way surface hardening processes are different? कौन सा process है? What are the heating media? What are the temperatures up to which the steel is heated? What will be the salient features and what are the applications of these processes? This is going to be our discussion in the next 30-35 minutes of time that's going to come. Right. So far as what we have seen in the hardening processes, we have identified that the steel, the austenitic structure is getting converted into either completely martensitic structure or predominantly martensitic structure. बेटा ये पॉइंट याद में रख लीजिए. Completely martensitic structure or predominantly martensitic structure is needed only in tool making applications and gauge manufacturing applications. Completely martensitic structure or predominantly martensitic structure की जरूरत होती है only in tool manufacturing and gauge manufacturing applications. There are many other applications, like for example, gear tools, sprockets, rolling mill rolls, machine tool beds, बोल के जैसा application हम बोलते रहते हैं बेटा. In such applications, similarly, crankshafts, connecting rods, बोल के जो रहता है. In such applications, we don't want martensite to be formed in the entire volume of steel. क्यों sir? वैसा वाला applications में hardness is needed only on the surface. Hardness is needed only on the surface. Why sir? If hardness is there only on the surface, it will give wear resistance. When the surface is hard, wear resistance will come. So there are practical applications like gear tooth. It requires surface hardness and core toughness. Core toughness की जरूरत क्या है? Gear tooth is loaded as a dynamically loaded member. It is designed as a dynamically loaded member. So impact load को sustain करने के लिए gear material में core level पे toughness रखने की जरूरत है. So a gear requires, a sprocket requires, a connecting rod requires a combination of two types of properties. They are core toughness and surface hardness. core toughness and surface hardness. Surface hardness will give rise to wear resistance. Core toughness will give rise to ability to withstand sudden loads or impact loads. So there are certain applications where we need combination of these two properties. Those applications are called as surface hardening applications. So what are the surface materials, sir? As you increase the carbon content in steels, when you increase the carbon content in steels, hardness increases in steels, but ductility decreases. कार्बन कंटेंट को इंक्रीज करने के समय में क्या होता है बेटा, हार्डनेस बढ़ जाता, therefore wear resistance will increase. But when hardness increases, ductility will decrease, hence toughness will decrease. So high carbon steels will have a good wear resistance. क्या बोला? High carbon steels will have good hardness, good wear resistance, लेकिन poor toughness. Low carbon steels will have excellent toughness, लेकिन उसमें हार्ड अच्छा नहीं रहता, wear resistance बहुत कम रहता. लो कार्बन स्टील को लेने पुअर wear resistance रहता है, लेकिन गुड टफनेस रहता है. इफ यू टेक हाई कार्बन स्टील देयर विल बी गुड wear resistance, लेकिन पुअर टफनेस रहता है. इसी के वास्ते these are the two candidate materials for us in surface hardening applications. हम लोग क्या करने वाला है, either we will implement surface hardening processes for low carbon steels or for high carbon steels because of the two property requirements. What are the two property requirements? कोर में टफनेस रहना है, सरफेस में हार्डनेस और wear resistance रहना है. So there are only two materials, low carbon steels and high carbon steels. Medium carbon steels neither satisfy toughness requirement nor satisfy wear resistance requirement. Therefore, medium carbon steels are not normally the steels which are taken up for surface hardening applications. Now I go by process and हर एक जगह में कौन सा तरह का स्टील्स के लिए वो सूटेबल है मुझे वो सब कुछ लिखता हूं बेटा. आइए मेरे साथ साथ यहाँ पर surface hardening process के बारे में डिस्कस करेंगे. The first surface hardening process that we would like to discuss here is what is called as carburizing. Come on. First surface hardening process is known as carburizing. Let me write certain important information. It is used for low carbon steels. It is used for low carbon steels. Carburizing is used for low carbon steels. क्या किया जाता है सर? लो कार्बन स्टील इज हीटेड इन द प्रेजेंस ऑफ कार्बोनेशियस मीडियम. कार्बोनेशियस मीडियम बोलते हैं जो मीडियम
ब्रेक टाइम में बात करूंगा.
कार्बन एटम को रिलीज कर सकता है. इट इज कॉल्ड एज कार्बोनेशियस मीडियम. क्या करना है सर? सॉलिड चारकोल को ले लो. सब्जेक्ट चारकोल टू कंबस्टन ऑफ चारकोल. कार्बन एटम को रिलीज कर सकता है. इट इज कॉल्ड एज कार्बोनेशियस मीडियम. कार्बोनेशियस हीटेड इन द प्रेजेंस ऑफ कार्बोनेशियस मीडियम. कार्बोनेशियस मीडियम बोलते बेटा जो मीडियम कार्बन एटम को रिलीज कर सकता है. इट इज कॉल्ड एज कार्बोनेशियस मीडियम. क्या करना है सर? तो आप ये बोलते बेटा
साढ़े 9 बजे.
कार्बन एटम को रिलीज कर सकता है। कार्बोनेशियस मीडियम। क्या करना है सर? सॉलिड चारकोल को ले लो, पता है सर, लो कार्बन स्टील इज हीटेड इन द प्रेजेंस ऑफ कार्बोनेशियस मीडियम। कार्बोनेशियस मीडियम बोलते बेटा जो मीडियम कार्बन एटम को रिलीज कर सकता है, इट इज कॉल्ड एज कार्बोनेशियस मीडियम। क्या करना है सर? सॉलिड चारकोल को ले लो, सब्जेक्ट चारकोल टू कंबस्टन, कंबस्टन ऑफ चारकोल रिजल्ट्स इन रिलीजिंग ऑफ कार्बन एटम्स। दैट इज वन। सॉलिड चारकोल को ले लिया, combustion of charcoal releases carbon atoms. Those carbon atoms diffuse into the surface of steel. When steel surface में carbon content बढ़ जाते हैं, go for quenching. Low carbon steel surface में carbon content को increase कर दिया, तो क्या होगा? Surface बनेगा high carbon steel. The moment when the surface becomes high carbon steel, you can go for quenching. Quenching करके आप martensit बना दे सकते हैं या नहीं? वैसे martensit बनते हैं. दूसरा alternative है. Sir, instead of using solid charcoal medium, come on, use molten salt. बेटा आप सुना होगा कि जब भी कार्बोनेट साल्ट बोलते हैं, कार्बोनेट साल्ट, क्लोराइड साल्ट बोलते हैं, सोडियम कार्बोनेट, सोडियम क्लोराइड साल्ट जैसा लिखते हैं, when you heat them to a particular temperature they are melting in the molten salt bath, heat the low carbon steel. करने से क्या होता है सर? molten carbonate salt से कार्बन एटम रिलीज कर दिया जाता है, they diffuse into the surface of low carbon steel. once they diffuse into the surface of low carbon steel, surface बनेगा high carbon steel, go for quenching. surface में आपने ट्रांसफॉर्म into martensit, that is how hardness will increase. There is a third way. Sir, take a low carbon steel and heat it in the presence of any fuel gas like ethane gas, methane gas. When subjected to combustion, releases carbon atoms. So take the low carbon steel and heat it in the presence of methane gas or ethane gas. From the fuel gas is subject to combustion, what are the carbon atoms are released? They diffuse into the surface of steel, and hence low carbon steel surface will get converted into high carbon steel. Go for quenching. Surface में arsenic बदल जाएगा martensit का रूप में. That is how hardness will increase. These are the three media which are available for heating. So मैं यहाँ पर लिख दे रहा हूँ बेटा, heating media, कौन सा medium में heating करते हैं? Heating medium.
10 मिनट बाकी है, अभी 8 मिनट बाकी है.
What are the heating media employed? एक है charcoal or coke can be used. Charcoal or coke can be used. Combustion of charcoal or coke can be used. Or molten carbonate salt plus sodium chloride can be used, or methane gas or ethane gas can be subjected to combustion. Any one of them can be used. Right? Now, by using these heating media, the operating temperature in this process will be, operating temperature in carburizing will be in the range of 925 to 950 degrees सेंटीग्रेड. बोलते इतना टेम्परेचर तक इस मीडियम में लो कार्बन स्टील गर्म कर दिया जाता है. गर्म करने से क्या होता? फ्रॉम दिस मीडियम कार्बन एटम डिफ्यूज इनटू लो कार्बन स्टील सरफेस. व्हेन कार्बन एटम डिफ्यूज इनटू लो कार्बन स्टील सरफेस, carbon composition will increase on the low carbon steel surface and hence it will transform into high carbon steel. The moment when it transforms into high carbon steel, go for quenching. So surface में रहने वाला आर्सेनेट बदल जाएगा मार्टेंसेट का रूप में. By arsenate to martensite transformation, surface hardness will increase and wear resistance will increase. This is the process called as carburizing. So after heating, come on, quenching is required. Quenching is required in this process. Quenching करने के बाद क्या होता है? Due to this, arsenate gets converted into martensite. Hence, surface hardness increases. Normally, the value of surface hardness that you can get will be around 800 Vickers hardness number. The amount of hardness that you develop on the carburized cases will be 800 Vickers hardness number. That is the hardness that you are going to develop. Next, applications. मैं लिख रहा हूँ बेटा. Applications of carburizing are being mentioned here. We write here gears, shafts, piston pins, valves, chain links, sprockets, chain links, sprockets or roller bearings. Roller bearings. These are the practical applications for which carburizing process is the value of surface hardness that you can get will be around 800 Vickers hardness number. The amount of hardness that you develop on the carburized cases will be 800 Vickers hardness number. That is hardness that you are going to develop. Next, applications. Applications of carburizing are being mentioned here. We write here gears, shafts, gears, shafts, piston pins, valves, chain links, sprockets, sprockets or roller bearings. These are the practical applications for which carburizing process is employed. Next, the second type of surface hardening process is known as nitriding. Nitriding is the second process. We write here, it is best suited to alloy steels. It is best suited to alloy steels. Right? It is best suited to alloy steels. Next, we write here. Sir, what are we going to do in case of nitriding process? Right? We take alloy steel specimen. Suppose this is alloy steel specimen. We heat the alloy steel specimen in the presence of either dissociated ammonia or molten sodium cyanide. Molten sodium cyanide salt का presence में या dissociated ammonia का presence में इस alloy steel को गर्म कर देते हैं. गर्म करने से क्या होता है बेटा? The nitrogen atoms will diffuse into the surface of steel. That results in formation of iron nitrides. Nitrogen atoms, when they chemically react with iron, iron itself is a nitride forming element. Therefore, iron nitrides will be formed. Similarly, from molten sodium cyanide, जो nitrogen atoms रहता है, they diffuse into the surface of steel. The chemical nitrogen atoms chemically react with iron in steel and result in formation of iron nitrides. These iron nitrides, which are formed in alloy steels, are not only harder than martensite. Martensite से भी hard रहता है. Not only harder. Remember, alloy steels में रहने वाला alloy nitrides, they will be not only harder, they will also be tougher. That is the reason why surface hardness and toughness requirement दोनों एक ही जगह में fulfill हो जाते हैं. Number one. And since you are going to develop a hardness more than that of martensite, nitrides are more harder than martensite. Quenching करने की जरूरत नहीं रहता है. Number three, nitride layers are non-metallic in nature. Non-metallic layers होने के वास्ते they reduce coefficient of friction, they increase corrosion resistance as a side effects. Positive side effect, reduce coefficient of friction, they increase corrosion resistance because they are not metallic layers. In addition to this, nitride formation results in inducement of surface compressive residual stresses. Due to the presence of surface compressive residual stresses, nitrided surfaces will have improved fatigue resistance or fatigue life. Fatigue strength ज़्यादा रहता है nitrided surfaces का. Operating temperature is normally in the range of 500 to 550 degrees centigrade for this particular process. So we write these important points here. That is best suited for alloy steels. Next, heating is done. Heating medium. Heating medium can be either dissociated ammonia gas. Dissociated ammonia gas को यूज कर सकते हैं या नहीं molten सोडियम साइनाइड साल्ट को यूज कर सकते हैं. कितना टेम्परेचर गर्म करते हैं? We write here operating temperature is 500 to 550 degrees centigrade. Right? Now what is exactly going to happen here? No quenching is needed. Next, alloy nitrides formed on the surface of steel, formed on the surface of steel, alloy nitrates formed on the surface of steel are not only hard, but are also tough. Next, nitride layers are non-metallic in nature. Nitride layers are non-metallic in nature. Nitride layers are non-metallic in nature. Hence, reduce coefficient of friction. Increase corrosion resistance. And fatigue resistance. They increase fatigue resistance. Next, applications लिख रहा हूं. Applications of nitriding process. Action. They reduce coefficient of friction. Increase corrosion resistance. Increase corrosion resistance. And fatigue resistance. They increase fatigue resistance. Next, लिख रहा हूं. Applications of nitriding process are being given. I write here machine tool parts. Cylinders of powerful IC engines. Next, I write cylinder liners, cams, valves, gears. Right? These are the applications of the so-called nitriding process. Operating temperature is given. Now, if you would like to know what is normally the hardness achieved by nitriding process, hardness achieved on the surface is approximately 1000 Vickers hardness number. Hardness achieved on the surface is approximately 1000 Vickers hardness number. Right? Those are the aspects that are related to nitriding. Then comes what is called as third process, cyaniding. But the cyaniding can be used for low carbon steels. Then the low carbon steel is heated. Low carbon steel is heated in molten sodium cyanide, or methane gas or ethane gas with 5 to 10% of ammonia. With 5 to 10% of ammonia gas. When you are using these gases for heating the low carbon steel, the process is called as carbonitriding. If you are using this gaseous medium for heating of low carbon steel. Okay. So low carbon steel can be heated in molten sodium cyanide or in the gaseous medium. In this gaseous medium, if you heat, then the process is called as carbonitride. Normally, the heating is done. Heating is done up to 725 to, left right, not 725, sorry. It is 750. Yes. Heating is done in the temperature range of 750 to 850 degrees centigrade. 750 to 850 degrees centigrade. हीटिंग करने के बाद क्विंचिंग इज नेसेसरी, क्विंचिंग करने की जरूरत है, क्विंचिंग इज नेसेसरी. In this process, what happens is carbon atoms diffuse into arsenite, carbon atoms diffuse into carbon atoms diffuse into arsenite, nitrogen atoms diffuse, nitrogen atoms diffuse into ferrite in the steel. At that operating temperature, steel में alpha plus gamma phase रहता है. At that operating temperature of 750 to 850 degree centigrade, low carbon steel में alpha plus gamma phase रहता है. Carbon atoms diffuse into arsenite and nitrogen atoms diffuse into alpha ferrite. Right? Next, we write here. When carbon atoms diffuse into arsenite, right? Carbon concentration arsenite में बढ़ जाते हैं. Then follow with quenching. Quenching करने से क्या होता? That arsenite will get converted into martensite. Right? और nitrogen diffusion की वजह से क्या होता? Nitrogen diffusion results in formation of nitrides. Carbon diffusion and quenching results in conversion of arsenite into martensite. So cyanated surfaces will have, surface में कौन होता है बेटा? Cyanated surfaces में some amount of nitride and more amount of martensite रहता है. Some amount of nitride and more amount of martensite रहता है. इसी के वास्ते surface hardness बढ़ जाते हैं. और in addition, right, surface hardness will increase. Surface hardness will increase. In addition, resistance to atmospheric corrosion, resistance to rust formation, resistance to rust formation in open atmosphere, resistance to rust formation in open atmosphere will increase. Cyanated surfaces will increase the resistance to rust formation. Then what are the applications, sir? Applications of cyaniding process are being given here. That shafts, worm gates, shafts, worm gates, nuts, springs, pins, etc. They are the applications of cyaniding process. They are the applications of cyaniding process. Right, thanks. Now, so far we have discussed carburizing, nitriding and cyaniding. There are two more processes, flame hardening and induction hardening. We will discuss those processes and then look into the effects of alloying elements in steel in the upcoming session. In the meantime, we are going to have a short break for 15 minutes to facilitate your dinner. Right? From now, we are going for 15 minutes of break. Mr. Tapnendu, your requirement is on the board. Carburizing slide is on the board, Tapnendu. जो कुछ नोट करना है जल्दी नोट करो बेटा, तुरंत मैं फ्लेम हार्डनिंग या और इंडक्शन हार्डनिंग लेने वाला हूँ. नेक्स्ट टॉपिक. Mr. Tapnendu, please alert me once your requirement is completed with carburizing slide. We write flame hardening. Flame hardening. Right. But let us try to understand that this flame hardening process is used for high carbon steels. For high carbon steels, the flame hardening process is employed for surface hardening applications. Now, whenever I say for high carbon steels, naturally a doubt comes in the mind of the students that, sir, high carbon steels are already hard because of more carbon content. फिर भी उनको सरफेस हार्डनिंग करने की क्या जरूरत है? बेटा ये एक क्वेश्चन का रूप में हमारे सामने आते रहते हैं कभी कभी इंटरव्यूज में. याद में रखो बेटा, स्टील्स में हार्डनेस इंक्रीज करने के लिए दो रास्ते हैं. एक रास्ता है कार्बन कंटेंट को इंक्रीज करते करते हार्डनेस को इंक्रीज करो. दूसरा रास्ता है बाय क्वेंचिंग एंड मार्टेनसेटिक ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन. बाय क्वेंचिंग एंड मार्टेनसेटिक ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन हार्डनेस को इंक्रीज करो. Now if you compare these two ways of increasing the hardness and wear resistance, बेटा मार्टेनसेटिक ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन से जो हार्डनेस बढ़ जाता है, that is always more than the improvement in hardness and wear resistance you get simply by carbon content increase. So simply carbon content को increase करने से कंपेयर करने से simply carbon content को increase करने से जो हार्डनेस मिलता है वो कम रहता है. मार्टेनसेटिक ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन से जो हार्डनेस मिलता है बेटा वो बहुत ज्यादा रहता है. इसी के वास्ते even high carbon steels also can be subjected to surface hardening. That's the reason. Right? I'm taking high carbon steels as a candidate material for flame hardening. All right, sir. यहाँ पर क्या किया जाता है? देखो बेटा, suppose this is the high carbon steel. The high carbon steel component is heated. High carbon steel component is heated with the help of neutral flame of oxyacetylene blowpipe. देखा होगा अपने कॉलेज में. Oxyacetylene blowpipe में ऑक्सीजन कंट्रोल वाल्व और एसिटिलीन कंट्रोल वाल्व रहता है. Now ये दोनों वाल्व्स को कंट्रोल करते करते ऑक्सीजन is to acetylene flow volumes, if they are adjusted in the ratio of 1:1, the outcoming flame is called as neutral flame. So using neutral flame, suppose this is the blowpipe and this is the high carbon steel component. The neutral flame is taken on the surface of the high carbon steel around. So as you are moving the neutral flame on the surface of the high carbon steel will come to red hot condition. Red hot condition बोलने में आप समझ सकते हैं, the operating temperature will be normally above A3 or above ACM. उतना ज़्यादा रहता है. So जब steel red hot condition तक पहुंच जाते हैं, take away the blowpipe and eject the cold water jets. blowpipe को निकालो, cold water jets से quenching करा दो. So surface heating और surface quenching से high carbon steel का जो surface में आसनेट रहता है, that gets transformed into martensite. That is the reason why surface hardness increases and wear resistance increases. Is the point clear to you? But this is the process that's called as flame hardening. So important points in the application लिखेंगे यहाँ पर about flame hardening. We write here. It is used for high carbon steels. Next, the steel is heated. Steel is heated to above A3 or above ACM. Above A3 or above ACM. Come on, using neutral flame. Using neutral flame. Using neutral flame, the heat will be Steel is heated to above A3 or above KCl. Then what happens? Next, we write here. It is followed by quenching. It is followed by quenching. Due to this, what's going to happen? Due to this, surface austenite will transform into martensite. Surface austenite will transform into martensite. Surface austenite will transform into martensite. Hence, hardness and wear resistance increases. Hence, surface hardness and wear resistance. Surface hardness and wear resistance increases. Right. That is how the hardening is done here. There are certain advantages that we have to talk here. The advantage will be that large gears, advantages and applications. Advantages and applications. Large gears, machine tool beds, rolling mill rolls, hand tools and cams are surface hardened. Economically, this is the advantage. They are surface hardened economically. You understand, flame hardening is cheaper than the next coming process that's called as induction hardening. What is the reason why we say this is economical alternative, cheaper alternative? Especially when you are handling bigger size workpieces, right? This is economical alternative, cheaper alternative, especially when you are handling bigger size workpieces, right? आने वाला है induction alternative, induction phase hardened economically. Try to understand, flame hardening is cheaper than the next coming process that's called as induction hardening. What is the reason why we say this is economical alternative, cheaper alternative, especially when you are handling bigger sized workpieces, right? आने वाला है इंडक्शन हार्डनिंग. इट इज नॉट सुटेबल फॉर कॉम्प्लेक्स शेप्ड कंपोनेंट्स और बिगर साइज वर्कपीसेस को इकोनॉमिकल नहीं बन सकता है, वो अनइकोनॉमिकल हो सकता है, वेरी कॉस्टली हो सकता है. लेकिन ये वाला फ्लेम हार्डनिंग एक चीपर टेक्निक है, इकोनॉमिकल टेक्निक है फॉर बिगर साइज्ड components, and that is the advantage combined with the applications here. Next, I would like to take up the next one called as induction hardening. Let me take here. Next one, fifth one, induction hardening. Here a few points. That is, it is used for high carbon steel. It is used for high carbon steels, as I told you. This depends upon heating is done by using induction effect of a transformer. By using induction effect of a transformer, heating is done on the compound. So, कैसा किया जाता है? Friends, let us say for example, here I am trying to show you the general schematic of a transformer. Suppose transformer will have this type of construction. Through the primary windings of the transformer will be supplying input power supply. This is secondary winding of the transformer. When you supply input power supplies through the primary winding, by induction effect, secondary currents are generated in the secondary winding of the transformer. That is called as induction effect of transformer. For induction heating applications, we don't need this secondary winding. Therefore, हम लोग क्या करेंगे? We will try to remove this secondary winding of the transformer. ये जो secondary winding of transformer है, तो पूरा निकाल देते हैं. As we remove the secondary winding of the transformer, In place of the secondary binding, we'll try to keep the high carbon steel specimen. This is high carbon steel specimen. In place of secondary binding of the transformer, we keep the high carbon steel specimen. And when input power supplies are made to the primary winding, by induction effect, secondary currents are generated in a small thickness of the layer, of the surface layer. In a small thickness of the surface layer. Remember, the current is a surface phenomenon or skin effect बोलते हैं. Current is always surface phenomenon. Therefore, जो induction currents है, they will be concentrated only on a small thickness of the surface layer. Only on a small thickness of the surface layer. So wait until the surface comes to red hot condition. बोलते हैं above A3 or above ACM temperature गर्म करने तक रोकिए. Once the surface comes to red hot condition, take this particular high carbon steel out of the transformer setup and eject cold water jets. Surface heating and surface quenching से high carbon steel surface में रहने वाला arsenic बदल जाएगा मार्टेजेट का रूप में. That is how hardness and resistance will increase. That's one point. And number two, दोस्तों जैसा बोला गया इतना easily नहीं हो सकता. This process requires the use of high frequency power supplies. बेटा rapid heating कर दिया जाता है, shortest time लेता है, and frequency को alteration कर सकते हैं इस टेक्निक में. High frequency induction currents इस्तेमाल करने से बेटा, you will be able to precisely increase the hardness of a small thickness of the layer. So we write that thickness of the hardened layer can be controlled by वैसा लिख सकते हैं. Thickness of the hardened layer can be controlled by controlling the frequency of induction currents. Input power supplies का frequency 1000 Hz to 1 lakh Hz range में alter किया जाता है. High frequencies are needed for small thickness of surface hardening. When you want to increase the hardness of a large thickness of layer, almost 5 mm 6 mm का जैसा करना जब चाहते हैं, small low frequencies use करते हैं. So large case thickness के लिए small frequencies, small thickness के लिए, small thickness of surface hardened layer के लिए large frequencies बोले तो thickness. Small thickness of surface hardened layer के लिए large frequencies बोले तो thickness of the surface hardened layer is inversely proportional to square root of frequency of power supplies. Rapid heating करने से additional advantage है बेटा यहाँ पर. Number not only less time. Rapid heating will avoid two challenges. बेटा गर्म करने की process में oxidation and decarburization नामक जो corrosion phenomena बनते हैं. गर्म करने की process में बनते हैं इसमें rapid square root of frequency of power supplies. Rapid heating करने से additional advantage है बेटा यहाँ पर. Number not only less time. Rapid heating will avoid two challenges. बेटा गर्म करने की प्रोसेस में ऑक्सीडेशन एंड डीकार्बोनाइजेशन नामक दो करोजन फिनोमेना बनते हैं. गर्म करने की प्रोसेस में दो तरह का करोजन बनते हैं स्टील में, ऑक्सीडेशन एंड डीकार्बोनेशन. लेकिन ये दोनों कैसा तरह का मैकेनिज्म है, दे आर बोथ टाइम डिपेंडेंट फिनोमेना. तो आप क्या करें अगर टाइम नहीं देते हैं, ऑक्सीडेशन एंड डीकार्बोनेशन बनता नहीं, कैसा हम टाइम नहीं दे रहे, रैपिड हीटिंग करो. रैपिड हीटिंग कैसा कर पाएंगे, चलो हाई फ्रीक्वेंसी इंडक्शन पावर सप्लाई करो. But when you use high frequency power supplies, what happens to cost of the setup increase? Very costly process. Shortest time taking surface hardening process. Very precisely controllable process. लेकिन बहुत महंगा है. और दूसरी बात यह है, component goes into the furnace setup. Sorry, component goes into the transformer setup. Therefore, you cannot use it for very big size components or complex shaped components. वैसा वाला component को यहाँ पर surface hardening नहीं कर सकते. So let us try to write these points that we have seen so far. Right now. This process involves, we have already written, heating is done by using induction effect of a transformer. आगे बढ़ाना बेटा मैं additional points लिख रहा हूँ. Thickness of the case hardened layer. Thickness of case hardened layer. Thickness of case hardened layer is inversely proportional to square root of frequency of power supplies. Thickness of the case hardened layer is inversely proportional to square root of frequency of power supplies. Next. High frequency power supplies are used. High frequency power supply. High frequency power supply is used. So bracket में लिख दीजिए 1000 Hz to 1 lakh Hz is the frequency of power supplies that are employed. Next, rapid heating. Rapid heating eliminates. Rapid heating eliminates oxidation and decarburization problems. Rapid heating eliminates oxidation and decarburization Rapid heating eliminates oxidation and decarborization problems. It is fastest surface hardening process. It is the fastest surface hardening process. Next, it cannot be used for complex shaped components. It cannot be used for complex shaped components. It cannot be used for complex shaped components. Right? Next, it is very costly. It is a very costly process. Next, we try add certain applications here. Applications of induction hardening are being mentioned. Then write down camshafts, crankshafts, gears. Next, cold rolling mill rolls, splined shafts, crane wheels. These are the components that are surface hardened by. These are the components surface hardened by the so-called induction hardening process. और एक सारा चीज लिखने की समय में यहाँ लिख दिया ना. Heating is done by using the induction effect of a transformer, and it is followed by quenching, and it is followed by quenching. Heating करने के बाद quenching करने की जरूरत है. Heating करने के बाद quenching करने की जरूरत है. Right? Right, come again. These are the applications that you have been reading, right? I'll copy down now. In the meantime, I'll write ahead. Pfizer pass. Yes. Quenching is done by another. High carbon steels में oil is required. Oil gives you the minimum critical cooling rate required for martensitic formation. In high carbon required. So you can always use water. ये बात आप नजर में रख दीजिए. Pfizer pass. Oil is required. You can look at me in the screen. Oil is required. Oil gives you the minimum critical cooling rate required for martensitic formation in high carbon steels. But nobody is barring you in using water. अब तुम्हारा माइंड में एक डाउट है, ऑयल और वाटर जब मैं दोनों यूज कर सकता हूं, वाटर गिव्स यू मोर कूलिंग रेट देन इवन ऑयल. करेक्ट? और बात क्या है? वाटर इज चीपली अवेलेबल एंड abundantly available compared to oil. Correct or not? In technology, many times final decision will be taken based on economy. Therefore, nobody is stopping you. ऑयल को यूज करने से मार्टेन बना दे सकते हैं, लेकिन कास्ट कंसिडरेशंस को नजर में रखते हुए आप ऑयल के जगह में वाटर को भी यूज कर सकते हैं विद हाई कार्बन स्टील. याद में रखो, Pfizer pass. Okay, that's what I wanted to emphasize here. Okay, friends. But completed the topic on heat treatment of steels also. Right? Having completed the heat treatment of steels, I'm quickly moving down to another topic on effects of alloying elements in steels. Effects of alloying elements. Effects of alloying elements in steels. Effects of alloying elements in steels. This is the topic that I am taking now. Right? Now, दोस्तों हम ऐसा करेंगे. From right side we keep on writing so that I will be gradually clearing the board. Right? So let's write. Effects of effects of, अब मैं फर्स्ट एलिमेंट को ले रहा हूं सल्फर, effects of sulfur. First of all, we write, and wherever critical points are involved, I will bring and then explain. Right. So effect number 1, sulfur reacts with iron and forms iron sulfide. Along the grain boundaries. Forms iron sulfide along the grain boundaries in steel. Right. Next number 2, minor amount of sulfur increases. Missionability. Minor amount of sulfur increases missionability of steel. Number 3, sulfur promotes hot cracking tendency. Sulfur promotes hot cracking tendency. Sulfur promotes hot cracking tendency. Number 4, wherever sulfur is added, manganese is also added simultaneously. To reduce brittleness in steel. Manganese is also added. Right? Now, these are certain important effects of sulfur. दोस्तों थोड़ा सा इसके बारे में समझ के लिए पहले सल्फर क्या बोला भाई, सल्फर इज एडेड टू स्टील. सर क्यों सल्फर ऐड किया जाता है? नॉर्मल सल्फर इज एडेड नॉट टू मिशनबिलिटी, दैट इज द मैटर ऑफ फैक्ट. लेकिन ज्यादा ऐड करूं या कम ऐड करूं बोल के जजमेंट के साथ साथ आपको जाना पड़ता है. तो बोले बेटा sulfur when it is added to steel, it chemically reacts with iron and results in formation of iron sulfide. This iron sulfide becomes an inclusion. And it accumulates along the grain boundaries. Grain boundaries तक जब जाते हैं बेटा, already you know grain boundaries are low melting point regions. और ये वाला iron sulfide एक inclusion बनकर जब grain boundary तक जाते हैं बेटा, Raoult's law type of effect बना के grain boundary melting point temperature को और भी घटा देता है. That means sulfur will decrease melting point temperature of grain boundaries because of iron sulfide accumulation along the grain boundaries. That is the reason why when you add more amount of sulfur, grain boundaries पे जाके grain boundaries का melting point बहुत ज़्यादा कम करने से क्या होता है बेटा? Suppose you are making use of a steel for hot working applications. If you are making use of a steel for hot working applications, और such steel में sulfur है, due to the presence of sulfur under hot working conditions, उस steel में क्या होता है? Cracking बनता है. This is called hot cracking formation, hot cracking tendency. Hot cracking tendency बोलो तो crack formation tendency in hot working conditions. तो जिस steel में ज़्यादा sulfur है, उस steel के ऊपर hot करना मना किया गया है. थोड़ा सा ऐड करो मिशनबिलिटी बढ़ेगा. नाउ यू डाउट इज सर थोड़ा सा सल्फर ऐड करने से मिशनबिलिटी कैसा बढ़ता है? बेटा when you add minor amount of sulfur, whatever iron sulfide is formed, this iron sulfide will have low shear strength. When iron sulfide phase is having low shear strength, our consumption in metal cutting will reduce. सल्फर ऐड करने से आयरन सल्फाइड बनता है. आयरन सल्फाइड में लो shear strength रखने से मशीनिंग एप्लीकेशंस में पावर कंजम्पशन कम होती है. इसी के वास्ते मिशनबिलिटी बढ़ जाते हैं. अरे मिशनबिलिटी बढ़ रहा है बोलते ज्यादा ऐड कर दिया तो हार्ट क्रैकिंग टेंडेंसी बनता है. बात ये एक तरफ से हार्ट क्रैकिंग टेंडेंसी बढ़ता है, दूसरी तरफ से जो आयरन सल्फाइड बन रहा है बेटा, आयरन सल्फाइड इज अ कंपाउंड बनने की वजह से स्टील में ब्रिटलनेस बढ़ता है. व्हिच इज नॉट एक्सेप्टेबल. ज्यादा सल्फर को ऐड कर दिया, ज्यादा ब्रिटलनेस बनता है. ज्यादा सल्फर को ऐड कर दिया, हार्ट क्रैकिंग टेंडेंसी बढ़ता है. तो मैं कैसा ये वाला इफेक्ट्स को फाइट आउट करूं? सपोज यू आर प्रोड्यूसिंग द स्टील फॉर हार्ड वर्किंग एप्लीकेशंस, ऑलवेज इंश्योर दैट द सल्फर कंटेंट इन द स्टील इज एज लेस एज पॉसिबल. दूसरा, यू आर नॉट यूजिंग इट फॉर हार्ड वर्किंग एप्लीकेशंस. किसी कोल्ड वर्किंग एप्लीकेशन के लिए आप यूज कर रहा है, फिर भी उसमें ज्यादा सल्फर नहीं रहना, बिकॉज सल्फर इंक्रीजेस ब्रिटलनेस इन स्टील. तो मैं क्या करूं सर? इफ यू डोंट ऐड सल्फर, मिशनबिलिटी इंक्रीज करने के लिए बहुत ज्यादा एलिमेंट्स नहीं है, बहुत कम एलिमेंट्स है. सो मिशनबिलिटी इंक्रीज करने के लिए सल्फर ऐड करना पड़ेगा. लेकिन ज्यादा ऐड कर दिया तो कोल्ड वर्किंग नहीं कर सकते, हार्ड वर्किंग नहीं कर सकते. क्यों बोलते? कोल्ड वर्किंग करने के लिए ब्रिटलनेस बढ़ेगा, You know, cold working can be done only on previously ductile materials only, not on brittle materials. तो मैं क्या करें सर? Wherever sulfur is added, रास्ता दिखाया जा रहा है. Wherever sulfur is added, manganese is also added simultaneously. Why sir? When you add manganese, but a part of the sulfur will go and react with the manganese, and manganese sulfide is going to be formed. Suppose you don't add manganese, iron sulfide will be formed. If you add manganese, part of the sulfur will go and form manganese sulfide. And remember, manganese sulfide is less brittle compared to iron sulfide. Therefore, steel. Manganese, जहाँ जहाँ पर sulfur added, manganese, part of the sulfur will go and form manganese sulfide. And remember, manganese sulfide is less brittle. To iron sulfide. Therefore, steel में manganese जहाँ जहाँ पर sulfur add किया, वहाँ पर manganese को भी simultaneously add करने से brittleness कम होती है. That is what is specified here. Next, we write here effects of phosphorus. Effects of phosphorus. Right, number 1, phosphorus increases tensile strength. Phosphorus increases tensile strength and hardness. Phosphorus increases tensile strength and hardness. Number 2, phosphorus increases corrosion resistance. Phosphorus increases corrosion resistance in steels. Number 3, phosphorus promotes cold cracking tendency. Cold cracking tendency in steel. Phosphorus promotes cold cracking tendency in steel. Number 4, minor amount of phosphorus increases missionability. Minor amount of phosphorus increases missionability. Minor amount of phosphorus increases missionability. Right. Now let us cite. Focus attention on that. Sir, phosphorus का क्या effects हैं? Phosphorus, when added to steel, it will chemically react with iron and result in formation of iron phosphates as compounds. जब ये iron phosphates बनते हैं बेटा, वो एक तरह का compound है, which is going to have higher tensile strength and hardness. इसी के वास्ते स्टील का brittleness भी बढ़ता है. जब स्टील में brittleness बढ़ जाता है बेटा, cold working करने से, वैसा वाला स्टील को ले जाके cold working करने से fracture हो जाते हैं. So cold working करने से जब crack formation बनते हैं बेटा, that is called as cold cracking tendency. इनको ज़्यादा phosphorus को add करना नहीं. Phosphorus promotes cold cracking tendency in steel. अगर ऐड करना है तो पहले क्यों ऐड करना है सर? Minor amount of phosphorus will increase missionability. सर minor amount of phosphorus increase करने से missionability कैसे बढ़ जाता? When minor amount of phosphorus is added, steel becomes a little brittle. जब steel little brittle बनते हैं, बोलो बेटा, discontinuous chips will be formed. When discontinuous chips are formed, they don't damage the surface finish on the workpiece. Two. Phosphorus increase करने से missionability कैसे बढ़ जाता? When minor amount of phosphorus is added, steel becomes a little brittle. जब steel little brittle बनते हैं, बोलो बेटा, discontinuous chips will be formed. When discontinuous chips are formed, they don't damage the surface finish on the workpiece. टूल और मशीन सरफेस के बीच में एंट्रैप नहीं होते हैं डिसकंटिन्यूअस चिप्स, देयरफॉर दे डोंट डैमेज द सरफेस फिनिश। दैट इज द रीजन व्हाई माइनर अमाउंट ऑफ फास्फोरस ऐड करने से मेशनेबिलिटी बढ़ जाते हैं। चलो these and phosphorus ऐड करने से corrosion resistance बढ़ते हैं, बल्कि स्टेटमेंट है बेटा। Phosphorus results in formation of phosphate layer. Suppose this is iron pillar. On the surface of this iron pillar, जिसमें phosphorus ऐड कर दिया गया है, on the surface phosphate layer is going to be formed. This phosphate layer is called as a corrosion inhibitor. बोलो तो क्या करेगा ये? It will not allow direct interaction between atmospheric oxygen and iron inside the steel. ये दोनों के बीच में सरफेस में बैरियर बनकर बैठता है फॉस्फेट लेयर। इसी के वास्ते फास्फोरस को ऐड करने से रस्ट फॉर्मेशन बनता नहीं या करोशन रेजिस्टेंस इंक्रीज होता है। राइट, नेक्स्ट आई एम मूविंग दिस थिंग्स टू अ साइड। नाउ टेकिंग अप नेक्स्ट वन। यहां पर effects of silicon। come on, number 1, silicon increases tensile strength। सिग्मा टी बोलते बेटा, समझ लेना, टेंसाइल स्ट्रेंथ। सिलिकॉन इंक्रीजेस टेंसाइल स्ट्रेंथ एंड टफनेस। सिलिकॉन इंक्रीजेस टेंसाइल स्ट्रेंथ एंड टफनेस विदाउट डिक्रीजिंग डक्टिलिटी। सिलिकॉन इंक्रीजेस टेंसाइल स्ट्रेंथ एंड टफनेस विदाउट डिक्रीजिंग डक्टिलिटी। सर ऐसा क्यों बेटा? सिलिकॉन का क्रिस्टल स्ट्रक्चर बोला जाता है, सिलिकॉन क्रिस्टल स्ट्रक्चर इज कॉल्ड एज इंटरपेनेट्रेटिंग एफसीसी लैटिसेस स्ट्रक्चर। क्या बोलते हैं? इंटरपेनेट्रेटिंग एफसीसी लैटिस। बोले तो दो एफसीसी लैटिसेस एक दूसरे में पेनिट्रेट हो गया तो जैसा दिखता है बेटा, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज क्रिस्टल स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ सिलिकॉन। इसका मतलब क्या है? लाइक एफसीसी मटेरियल्स, सिलिकॉन आल्सो हैज डक्टिलिटी, दैट इज द रीजन व्हाई टेंसाइल स्ट्रेंथ को इंक्रीज कर देता। सिंस इट इज स्ट्रांग, इट डिक्रीजेस टेंसाइल स्ट्रेंथ। सिंस इट इज डक्टाइल, विदाउट डिक्रीजिंग डक्टिलिटी, टफनेस को भी इंक्रीज कर देता है सिलिकॉन। नेक्स्ट बेटा, तुम्हारा सबको मालूम है सिलिकॉन को ऐड करने से रेजिलियंस बढ़ेगा। Silicon increases resilience in steels. Silicon increases resilience. Silicon increases elastic limit in the steel. Silicon ऐड करने से स्टील का elastic limit बढ़ जाता है। elastic limit बढ़ जाने की वजह से resilience बढ़ते हैं। बेटा तुम्हारे को मालूम है शायद, resilience is a desirable property in spring manufacturing applications. करता ना, steels should have resilience. Similarly, musical pipes used in the instruments like veena, guitar, sitar, mandolin type of जो musical instruments रहता है, उसमें वो wire for the musical instruments that is selected on the basis of resilience. Therefore, silicon steels are used. Come on बेटा, silicon जिस steel में रहता है, such steels are called silicon steels. Silicon steels में ज़्यादा resilience रहने की वजह से such steels are used in springs manufacturing applications and musical wire instruments or string instruments like sitar, guitar, mandolin type of instruments में use करते हैं silicon steels को। Silicon increases resilience. Next, number 3, silicon increases resistivity. Silicon increases resistivity. दोस्तों तुम्हारे को मालूम है सिलिकॉन इज नॉट ए मेटालिक एलिमेंट। अगर मेटालिक एलिमेंट है तो कंडक्टिविटी इंक्रीज कर देता। सिलिकॉन इज ए मेटलॉइड, neither it is metal nor it is non-metal, right? Neither it is metal nor it is non-metal. सिलिकॉन का प्रॉपर्टीज मेटल्स और नॉन मेटल्स के बीच में रहता है, वैसा वाला एलिमेंट को बोलेंगे मेटलॉइड्स। सिलिकॉन इज ए मेटलॉइड, देयरफॉर सिलिकॉन को ऐड करने से स्टील में रेजिस्टिविटी बढ़ जाते हैं। नेक्स्ट, नंबर 4, सिलिकॉन इज अ पावरफुल डीऑक्सिडाइजर। इज अ पावरफुल deoxidizer. That is the reason why metal casting applications में molten metal को oxidation prevent करने के लिए सिलिकॉन को ऐड किया जाता है। नेक्स्ट, सिलिकॉन decomposes cementite. Silicon decomposes cementite into graphite. Silicon decomposes cementite into graphite. Hence it is called as a graphitizer. Hence it is called as a graphitizer. Silicon decomposes cementite into graphite. Silicon decomposes cementite into graphite and hence it is called as a graphitizer. बेटा बोल दीजिए मेरे, ये सेंटेंस तो सुन लिया आपने। सिलिकॉन क्या करेगा सर? Silicon will cut the bonds. Silicon will break the bonds between iron and carbon in cementite. स्टील में कौन रहता है? सीमेंटाइट। स्टील में ताकत देने वाला कौन सा फेज है? सीमेंटाइट फेज है। सीमेंटाइट में कौन है? आयरन और कार्बन है। आयरन और कार्बन के बीच में जो बॉन्ड्स है सीमेंटाइट में, वहां जाकर सिलिकॉन क्या करेगा? वो बॉन्ड्स को टूट देगा। सिलिकॉन विल ब्रेक द बॉन्ड्स बिटवीन आयरन एंड कार्बन। देयरफॉर बेटा वहां से जो कार्बन निकल चुका है, बाय ब्रेकिंग द बॉन्ड्स बिटवीन सीमेंट आयरन एंड कार्बन, जो कार्बन निकल चुका है, दैट विल रीच अप इन द फॉर्म ऑफ ग्राफाइट। और बोलो बेटा, when cementite is converted into graphite, मालूम है तुम्हारे, cementite is a hard phase, strong phase, steel में ताकत देने वाला phase है, such a phase when it is converted into graphite. Graphite is a soft phase, graphite is a weak phase. जब ताकत देने वाला cementite graphite बनते हैं, is it going to be advantageous or disadvantageous? Disadvantageous. Therefore ज़्यादा सिलिकॉन को ऐड करना मना किया गया है. आगे बढ़ो, और एक इंपॉर्टेंट डिफरेंस बताना चाहता हूँ. नेक्स्ट नंबर 6, सिलिकॉन के बारे में. नंबर 6, silicon makes the steels. Silicon makes steels magnetically soft. Silicon makes the steels magnetically soft. Silicon makes the steels magnetically soft and hence reduces power losses. Hence reduces power losses. Hence it is used. Hence it is used in electrical motors, generators and transformers. Generators and transformers. It is used in electrical motors, generators and transformers. Silicon steels are exclusively employed in electrical engineering applications because silicon को ऐड करने से बेटा, silicon makes the steels magnetically soft. Magnetically soft बोल के बोलने पर बेटा, जो power losses बोल के रहता है, those power losses will be minimum in the soft magnetic materials. Silicon को ऐड करने से स्टील सॉफ्ट मैग्नेटिक मटेरियल्स बनकर उसमें रहने वाला पावर लॉसेस कम होती है. इसी के वास्ते सिलिकॉन स्टील्स को ले जाके इलेक्ट्रिकल पावर इक्विपमेंट लाइक मोटर्स, जनरेटर्स एंड ट्रांसफार्मर्स जैसे एप्लीकेशंस में यूज किया जाता है. दोस आर द इंपॉर्टेंट इफेक्ट्स एज वेल एज एप्लीकेशंस ऑफ सिलिकॉन स्टील्स. चलो नेक्स्ट इफेक्ट्स ऑफ नेक्स्ट एलिमेंट मैंगनीज. Effects of manganese. Number 1, manganese increases tensile strength and hardness, shear resistance. That's the, and they are non-magnetic in nature. That's the reason why they are used in bull steels containing more than 10% of manganese. Steels containing more than 10% of manganese. ब्रैकेट में लिख दीजिए उनका नाम Hadfield manganese steels. Hadfield manganese steels बोलते हैं. Steels containing more than 10% of manganese, they are known as Hadfield manganese steels, have very high wear resistance, and they are non-magnetic in nature. They are non-magnetic. They are used in bulldozer blades manufacturing application. They are used in bulldozer blades. High manganese steels बोलते रहते हैं बेटा. They are called as high manganese steels. So high manganese steel for the steels which contain more than 10% of manganese in them. They have excellent wear resistance. That's the, and they are non-magnetic in nature. That's the reason why they are used in bulldozer blade manufacturing applications. But most of the times, manganese happens to be a carbide former. When carbide formation, when it chemically reacts with carbon in steel, it results in formation of carbides. When manganese carbides are formed, the internal hardness of steel will increase. When internal hardness of steel increases, upon quenching, it will not permit rapid changes in density. जब rapid changes in density permit नहीं करता है बेटा, it results in formation of quench cracks. Tensile को increase कर देता, hardness को increase कर देता. Minor amount को add करने से बेटा, when you add minor amount of manganese, it increases the hardness slightly, makes the steel slightly brittle. Discontinuous chips are produced which do not damage surface finish, hence fashionability will increase. आगे बढ़ो बेटा, last point है, that is manganese. Will stabilize. Manganese will stabilize. Number 5. Manganese will stabilize austenite. Manganese will stabilize austenite at room temperature. Austenite at room temperature. बेटा आप देख लिया था मैंगनीज के बारे में बोलते हुए एक सेंटेंस बोलना है austenite when cooled to a temperature below A1 क्या लिखा था रिएक्शन किया था austenite when cooled to a temperature below A1 becomes metallurgically unstable and hence decomposes into perlite ductile steel में hypoductile steel में hyperductile steel में इसी जगह में रखने वाला austenite जब below A1 लाया जाता है it will not remain in its original form it will transform into perlite because of metallurgical instability बोलते हैं राइट ना लेकिन आप कैसा भी करके austenite को रूम टेंपरेचर तक ला सकते हैं स्टील में you know what is the advantage? Austenite is FCC in crystal structure. Therefore, it has got strength, ductility, and toughness. Therefore, steels which contain austenite at room temperature will have excellent formability. Steels containing austenite at room temperature will have excellent formability. Therefore, engineers have tried by different means to bring austenite to room temperature. By सवाल टेक्निक्स में ये है बेटा. By adding manganese. सर manganese को ऐड करने से क्या होगा? When manganese is added, critical transition temperature A1 will get suppressed to below room temperature. We have shown A1 at 720 centigrade diagram का diagram. लेकिन manganese ऐड करने के बाद क्या होगा? Due to effect of manganese as a alloying element, A1 line will go below room temperature. जब A1 लाइन रूम टेंपरेचर नीचे चले जाते हैं बेटा ऐसा है ना आयरन का डायग्राम में ऑस्टेट रीजन ऐसा रहता है ना यहां पर है A1 व्हेन A1 टेंपरेचर गोस बिलो रूम टेंपरेचर ये वाला ऑस्टेट रीजन एक्सपेंशन होकर रूम टेंपरेचर तक आते हैं बोले तो स्टील में रूम टेंपरेचर में ऑस्टेट मिलता है इसी के वास्ते मैंगनीज को बोलते हैं बेटा ऑस्टेट स्टेबलाइजर और नंबर स्टील्स व्हिच कंटेन ऑस्टेट इन द माइक्रोस्ट्रक्चर आर कॉल्ड एज ऑस्टेट स्टेनलेस स्टील्स व्हिच कंटेन ऑस्टेट The microstructures are known as at room temperature, known as austenite stainless steels. Since austenite is FCC, it has got good strength, ductility, and toughness. Austenite जिस किसी स्टील में रहता है, such steel will have excellent formability. Austenite steels will have excellent formability. ऐसा स्टील्स को पॉसिबल बनाने के रास्ता में बेटा मैंगनीज को ऐड किया जाता है मैंगनीज इज देयरफॉर कॉल्ड एज ऑस्टेनाइट स्टेबलाइजर मैंगनीज इज देयरफॉर कॉल्ड एज ऑस्टेनाइट स्टेबलाइजर राइट नेक्स्ट आई एम गोइंग टू द नेक्स्ट एलिमेंट
खत्म नहीं हो रहा है
निकल इफेक्ट्स ऑफ निकल नंबर 1 nickel increases tensile strength and toughness. Nickel increases tensile strength and toughness without decreasing ductility. Nickel increases tensile strength and toughness without decreasing ductility. सर आप ऐसा कैसा बोल सकते हैं? That is very simple बेटा. Nickel is FCC, right? जिस एलिमेंट के साथ डक्टिलिटी है वो वाला एलिमेंट को ले जाकर जब स्टील में ऐड कर रहा है और वो अपने साथ रहने वाला डक्टिलिटी को स्टील को ट्रांसफर कर देता है. Therefore ductility घटेगा नहीं. स्ट्रेंथ बढ़ता है लेकिन डक्टिलिटी घटता नहीं। क्यों नहीं घटता सर? बिकॉज ये तो डक्टाइल एलिमेंट है, देयरफॉर स्ट्रेंथ बढ़ जाता बट डक्टिलिटी विल नॉट डिक्रीज। अपना डक्टिलिटी स्टील को भी दे दिया जाता है, देयरफॉर टेंसाइल स्ट्रेंथ इंक्रीजेस, टफनेस विल इंक्रीज विदाउट डिक्रीजिंग डक्टिलिटी बिकॉज निकल इज एफसीसी। नंबर 2, निकल इंक्रीजेस corrosion resistance. Nickel increases corrosion resistance. Nickel increases corrosion resistance and decreases coefficient of thermal expansion. Coefficient of thermal expansion. Nickel increases corrosion resistance and decreases coefficient of thermal expansion. यहाँ पर ब्रैकेट में लिख दीजिए, steels containing 36% of nickel. Steels containing 36% of nickel are called invar steels. Steels containing 36% of nickel are called invar steels. They possess very negligible coefficient of thermal expansion. Very negligible, almost zero. Very negligible coefficient of thermal expansion, close to zero. Negligible coefficient of thermal expansion. बेटा सुना होगा राइट फ्रॉम चाइल्डहुड डेज, ये वाला इनवार स्टील्स तुम्हारे साथ साथ आ रहा है। साइंस टीचर बोल रहा था इन द स्कूलिंग डेज, स्मॉल साइज्ड नीडल्स व्हिच आर यूज्ड इन वॉचेस are made out of invar steels because they have low coefficient of thermal expansion. Therefore, due to temperature variations in the atmosphere, the length of these needles will not change. The length of these needles will not change. उनका weight में ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. Therefore, time unevenly variation नहीं दिखाएगा. Watches. Science teacher बोल रहा था that is important for invar steels. चलो, nickel increases coefficient of nickel increases corrosion resistance. Sir, why? बेटा high temperatures में जो nickel oxides नामक बनते हैं steel surface में, steels containing nickel. Right? If they are heated to high temperatures, क्या होता है? There is a formation of nickel oxide on the surface. But nickel oxide once formed on the surface will be having high stability. Therefore, जब तक वो nickel oxide layer है steel surface के ऊपर, दोबारा oxidation नहीं बनने देते हैं. That means first layer of oxide formed will become stable and protective. Therefore, further oxidation will not take place. That is why nickel is corrosion resistant. Nickel increases corrosion resistance. So nickel is tensile. So nickel is FCC element. Therefore, tensile strength toughness increases without loss of ductility. Corrosion resistance बढ़ाएगा और coefficient of thermal expansion को कम कर देगा. आगे बढ़ो बेटा. Nickel is third effect. Effect number 3. Nickel stabilizes austenite at room temperature. Nickel stabilizes austenite. Nickel stabilizes austenite at room temperature. Nickel stabilizes austenite at room temperature. Hence, it is known as an austenite stabilizer. An austenite stabilizer. Hence, it is known as austenite stabilizer. But any FCC material, if you take for example, if any FCC material is added, all FCC materials act like austenite stabilizers only. Austenite को room temperature में steel में stabilize करने की वजह से steel में रखने वाला formability room is at any FCC material. If you take for example, if any FCC material is added, all FCC materials act like austenite stabilizers only. Austenite को room temperature में steel में stabilize करने की वजह से steel में रखने वाला formability बढ़ जाती है. All right. Still there are a few more elements, 3, 4, 5, 6 elements are there. वो हम कल क्लास में डिस्कस कर सकते हैं because I want to have some discussion with you related to your doubts. All right. Now it is the doubts clearing session. तुम्हारे पास कुछ doubts है तो पूछिएगा आने वाला टाइम. चलो. Come on, start your doubts.
लेक्चर खत्म, खाना खाने का टाइम.